Tracy goes, look, man, he goes, LA Guns is breaking up. He goes, it's not common knowledge, he goes, but Phil's out of the band. And if you join, we'll keep the band together. I said, what?
Did that ever wear on you like shit? Everybody, the Steven Tyler guy. You're Steven Tyler.
Yeah, sure. To this day, though. But I might as well be getting paid for it. This is what I'm dreaming about. Like, I want that rock record. And yeah. Tracy was listening to Pantera, Down, and the Foo Fighters. I'm 2,000 plus miles away, living in the woods in northern Michigan, tracking a record with Kid Rock's guitar player. He's Tracy Guns, and Tracy wants to do this.
Yeah.
So you say, yes, sir. So we did. We all got together and we hugged it out. And I love you, man. I love you. Okay, all right, we're going to do it. We're going to do something. And then a week later, he called and fired me. It got so bad, I made a shirt that said, "Where's Phil?" on it. And I was wearing it on stage every night. Because I was even asking the question. Me, now I write children's books.
Really?
That's a real thing. Oh, yeah.
I didn't know about that. No shit.
I'm breaking that news on your show. And it's making people happy.
Yeah.
I'm not the tax man. I'm the guy who you go to see to forget your troubles.
Right.
The hair metal guru from Warren to Crew. The hair metal guru. Never forget Charlie too.
Hey, what an honor to welcome Chris VanDahl to the show. Chris was the lead vocalist in Cherry Street, who became one of the biggest bands on the Sunset Strip. He played the role of Aerosmith Steven Tyler. Shocking when you look at him, I know. In two fantastic tribute bands, Aerosmith and Legends in Concert. He put out a great album with the band Angels in Vain. And yes, he sang on the 1996 LA Guns album American Hardcore. With that, Chris VanDahl, welcome to the show.
Thank you. So you're the guy that knows about that record.
I'm that guy who has.
And there he is. There's Chewy.
Yeah,
the American Hardcore mascot.
Yep.
Yeah.
So and I didn't say in the intro, but I know you and your wife have a successful nail business called Luminary Nail Systems.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how rock and roll people think that is, but yeah, it's true. I've been very busy co-running this company that we founded 8 years ago, and just feeling grateful because this thing has exploded, and it hasn't left a lot of time for a whole lot of other things, but it's pretty cool.
Well, it's fantastic, and you look as rock and roll can look. So just FYI.
Well, if that's a thing, thank you. Yeah, you know what I mean. It's like I just do what I do, man. You know.
Right. So you were from, or most people will know you from Cherry Street if you're fans of this band, or if you're fans of the channel. But you're originally from Detroit, right?
Oh yeah. Moved out from Detroit in the early '80s with Taz, the guitarist from Cherry Street, also guitarist from Angels in Vain.
Yes.
So that was kind of like a reconnect of sorts. We've been close friends. I mean, we weren't 21 when we met, and we moved to California from Detroit together back in the '80s, and formed Cherry Street with the other guys in the band.
Were you in bands in Detroit before you made the move? What was your musical start?
Yeah, so for me, I mean, I started out performing when I was, I don't know, maybe 11, 12 years old, and it was the Mid-East, it's like you've got 6 months of winter and 6 months of road repairs, and all there is to do when it's cold is sit in your room and practice.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, and bands back then where I was from, it's like, what guys in your neighborhood played what instrument, or what did they just pick up? And that's how bands formed. And that, oddly enough, is kind of how I got into it. I knew a guy, and he was like, "Hey, there's a band up the street or whatever. Let's go check them out." And it was just a bunch of kids, which is what we were too, and they were down there playing like Iron Maiden and Judas Priest and Queensryche and Twist. It's just like stuff way beyond their years.
Yeah.
And some of the guys were actually really good. And I was like, at that time, I wanted to be a guitar player, but I wasn't. And they needed a singer. So I said, I'll do it. And that's kind of how I got going on this.
So, so you're playing in Detroit. Like what is the thing that makes you go, okay, we got to get out of here. We got to go to LA and try to make it happen.
Well, I mean, by that time, you think about it, like, so I'd started out when I was, 12, 13 years old. Um, and I kept on doing it. That never changed. And you're not making a living there. Even the biggest bands in Detroit at that time were like, we got to get out of here because there was no focus, man. There was no industry there.
Right.
Great bands, but nobody's looking because everybody's looking at LA, right? I mean, everybody came out of LA. At that time, it was Quiet Riot broke it wide open again. I remember that very clearly because I mean they came on the heels of like Pencil Thin Ties, like the Knack,
Yep.
bands like that were really really big,
Yep.
and so then Quiet Riot hit and it just changed everything, but I think before that it was like Van Halen was the last thing that was just like, what the hell is this? So by the time I was, 19, 20 years old, I was playing what they call the B circuit. And that was, you do like 3 sets a night, 6 nights a week, playing everybody else's music, maybe a smattering of original material, but who cared, right?
Right.
So you're playing other people's music and you're traveling around the country and you're playing White Snake and, you know, Quiet Riot and Motley Crue and who and whatever was big at the time.
Yep.
And you'd book into clubs and you'd play them for a week and then you go to the next club and you'd play that for a week and you tour and you do that. And that's kind of like the plan was get a band, make them super tight, and then relocate the whole band to LA. That was the dream. Did that happen? No, of course that didn't happen.
Yeah,
No.
sometimes plans can go awry. When did you get to LA?
Well, so I got to LA beginning of '89.
Okay, that's what I thought.
And it's ironic because what had happened is I was in a band in Detroit area, and one of the guys in the band, he was a guitar player, had a roommate who I knew, but we didn't know each other well, but we knew of each other. And he was a bass player who had moved out to LA. And I was hanging out in a club, one of these clubs that my band was playing all the time. And he came up to me at the bar and he'd just flown in from LA. And he said, I'm looking for you. He goes, I've got a band. We are offered a deal, but they said we have to swap out our singer. He goes, pack your bags tonight. We'll go back. You can stay at my place. I manage I think it was a Little Caesars. Like seriously, I'll give you a job. You'll be good to go. My plan, like I said, was to move my entire band to LA. So I took a pass on it. So I took a pass on this thing.
Yeah.
And like 2 weeks later, my band broke up. Of course, that's what loyalty gets you, right?
Right.
So seriously, I called him back up and I go, look, man, he's like, no. He's like, it fell through after you were kind of like the last thing and it didn't
Right.
happen. So record companies moved on, whatever. I got a roommate here and he's from Michigan too. And we were talking about starting something new. He goes, let me talk to him and see what he thinks about it. And that was Tom Mathers,
Yeah.
who is the president and CEO of Paris Records, right? Oh, there you go. Hey, props to Tom.
Absolutely. Tom's a
With Cherry
great guy.
Street, we actually launched Paris Records with Cherry Street.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
Having said, that was Spinner, that was Don Korbecki. He
Yeah.
spoke with Tom. We talked on the phone. I said, look, I've got a guitar player. We're a package deal. And that was Taz. And so we worked it out, and Taz and I bought an old van and almost died going through the mountains, coming from, Michigan to California. And that was the beginning of what became Cherry Street.
Was it culture shock when you got there from Detroit, getting to the strip?
Oh man. I'll tell you what, pulling in on the freeway all of a sudden, I mean, you're from 3 lanes or 2 lanes or whatever to like 5 lanes, and they're flowers running down the side of the lanes, and traffic is just insane. It was, oh yeah,
Right.
yeah, it was. And it's really funny because we got to town and we pulled into a Pizza Hut, and that van literally it took its last breath in that parking lot. It died. That was it. It was done. So we went to the payphone because that's what you had then,
Yeah.
and we called the phone number we had. No answer. And that went on for a long time. And I remember Taz saying to me, I don't give a flying, deposit explicit here. He's like,
You can
what
swear.
happened?
You can swear if
Okay.
you
Because
want.
he goes, I don't give a fuck if this was a joke. I'm not going back.
Yeah.
So that
Right.
was the whole thing. So we had an address and we humped it to that address, which just happened to be up the street.
Right.
And we're waiting in front of this condo, and this guy shows up. Huge dude, like long haired guy, but just a huge guy, right? Now, this is the 80s,
Yeah.
and we're like, this doesn't look like Tom, And he goes, Alex. And, Taz introduced himself. I introduced myself. He's like, yeah, I know who you guys are. I'm the drummer. And I looked at Taz again, maybe not politically correct, but this is the 80s. And I went, not for long. And that guy was a great dude. He was a great dude. He was Tom's best friend.
Right.
So the first night I met him, I fired his best friend from the band. That's how we started. Yeah, it wasn't nice, but that was rock and roll.
So when you get there, okay, and that happens,
Yeah.
tell me about like, okay, you meet Tom and how
Yeah.
it comes together for Cherry Street.
So how it comes together for Cherry Street was like this. Um, these guys had a gig booked already, and then the band was called Rocks. And I went, there are 300 rocks. We can't be rocks. It's so generic, man. We got to do something, right?
Yep.
But literally within a week of formation, we'd put together a set from material that Taz and I had. We taught the other guys. They had some stuff. We learned whatever that was. And we did a show at a club called Goodies in Orange County a week after this band formed. So it was definitely happening. Like, you know what I mean? We were able to work. Everybody had real high level to, commitment and stuff. So we got out and we did a show. And from there, it was just about making it right. We needed a different drummer. There were member changes through the next 6 months or a year, whatever. But we ended up bringing in Don quit the band. He had some personal stuff that he went through. I think he was possessed. And he's a great dude, an amazing bass player, and he's the reason I made it to California in the first place.
Right.
So I love that guy. But there was some serious like stuff going on. So we brought Jamie Scott in,
Yep.
who was from Michigan originally. He was one of the guys in the cover band that Taz and I played in, and he knew Razzle from Boston,
Right.
and he brought in Razzle, and that Razzle became our drummer. And that's how the original Cherry Street formed. And that's when we did the name change. We lived on, yeah, there you go. And we lived on Cherry Street. And that's where the name came from.
Right.
So,
Was it did it feel like the scene was still happening? And I only ask that because go ahead.
yeah, I'd never seen anything like it. Oh yeah, it was happening.
Okay.
Friday, Saturday nights on the strip, thousands of people. I'm not exaggerating either. I'm like, you know what I mean? It's like you would walk down the street and there would just be mobs and mobs of like bands and fans and anybody that you can think of would be out there on a Friday or Saturday night. It was a common thing, if you can imagine this, to be passing Gazzaris, and sitting on the wall would be Bill Gazzari, the godfather of rock and roll, right?
Yep.
For those of you who knew the strip back in the day, Bill would be sitting out there with Ron Jeremy, CeCe DeVille, CC DeVille, and Lemmy Kilmister.
Right.
Just lined up. CC and Lemmy were best friends.
Right.
And rock and roll fans, especially back in the day, they would fist fight over Motorhead versus Poison. Those guys are like, they couldn't even imagine those guys like in the same circle. Best of friends. You
Right.
know what I mean? So everybody was doing their thing. It was a really kick-ass community because we all supported each other. We were all out there for the same reason. And if you were good, there was room, you
Was,
know?
was there a point where you realized that you guys something was happening? Like as far as getting
Yeah,
crowds and name on the strip.
it happened really quickly. And I mean, it's different when you're in the middle of it, right? That's your life. Because I mean, it was really about, for me, writing and promoting. That was my life. I ate, I breathed it. It was everything to me. And we would be out there at a concert, and everything was an opportunity to promote the band, anything that was happening. But I don't think it was, we started out opening, like, so back then was pay to play.
Yeah.
So you'd have to buy tickets and then you'd turn around in turn and you'd sell as many of those tickets you could. And if you were selling the tickets, you could actually make money. But bands bitched about it because they didn't want to do the legwork. But I'm thinking this is an opportunity to meet the people that will become fans of the band. And we would all be out there Fridays and Saturday nights. And it didn't take long before we bumped up from, like, 7:30, 8 a.m. We're talking crickets, man. There was nobody in there. It was just about being able to say, we're playing Gazzarri's, we're at the Troubadour, we're at the Roxy or the Whiskey, whatever. Um, but suddenly it's 9 o'clock and the venue sold out. So the band moved up really quickly that way. At one point, we did a show at the Whiskey A Go Go, and they closed down the strip because there were so many people and so many cars. The fire marshal came out, and we had taken the record for capacity. And the next band, I think that changed that was Motley Crue when they did a return
Oh,
show
right. Right.
after they were, established worldwide or whatever. But I mean, the place only holds so many people to begin with, but it was insane.
Yeah. You guys made a video for the walk.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, like CC DeVille's
Yeah.
in it. There's Janie
Oh
Lane. I
yeah,
think you see Lemmy. So I'd love to.
yeah,
And I mean, that was early in your band's career before you were
right.
signed. I mean, that was kind of an original idea.
To my credit, right? So this was a shoestring attempt to get something out there, to let people know who the band was. And all the black and white footage,
Yeah.
I don't know if you'll remember this, but
Yeah.
I know some of your viewers will. You used to be able to go to the mall and there'd be these kiosks where you could film videos, lip syncing and stuff. You know what I mean? They'd have like silly hats and whatever, air guitars. So we got it in our heads. We had this big idea that we were going to take the band down there in full gear, and that's how we were going to shoot the basis of the video.
Hey, this is from Poison. This is Lemmy from Motown. Whenever we were in town, we did the walk with who else? But Cherry Street.
Well, the day we did it, I was sick as a dog. And I was in there able to give direction to the other guys, but there was nobody telling me I looked like an idiot. And there's no digital, right? Like, so you're not looking at the playback going, what am I doing? You know what I mean? I was a live guy. Performance on stage in front of a crowd, that's one thing. But doing something like that in a box, dancing and pretending to sing for 3.5 minutes by yourself,
Right.
you know what I mean? In your girlfriend's clothes, that's another story. So, you know what I mean? We got to see. But I mean, all that stuff, like all the credits on the toilet paper roll.
Yep.
And, but yeah, I mean, we were very fortunate in that a lot of the cameos, the people that you see in those videos, were supportive of the band. Because who's going to do that, right?
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
who's going to get Bon Jovi to sing their chorus when he's the largest selling artist in the world? Forget about it, Janie or Bret Michaels. Cool aside for your rock fans out there, the red Jaguar that you see Brett and I sitting on during that, he bought that car that day.
Oh, no shit.
So So he was in a particularly good mood anyway.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, and here's another thing I think, because I haven't thought about this stuff in years, but um, that is the last footage that Sam Kinison ever recorded while he was alive.
No shit.
Yeah, so right after that, it might have been the same night is the night he took off for Vegas, and when he came back, that's when he was killed. So terrible,
Yeah.
man. He was what a great dude. What a
You,
great dude.
you guys were like ahead of, I mean, you had like posters, you had a music video,
Yeah.
you had all this footage for home video. I mean, like
Both
before,
page color ads in Metal Edge magazine.
right? Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
did you start seeing some real label interest, even
Oh
though
yeah.
okay,
Listen, we were sitting in the top. You know what? Okay, so a little personal thing, right? In my mind, the goal was Capitol Records
Mhm.
because it's the thing that I saw when I pulled into like the first time I headed into LA because it's got that shape, right? The top looks like a disc or whatever. And I was like, I want to sign to that label. And we were actually sitting in the penthouse offices of Capitol Records with a full color photo of the band, the one that's on that cover, the cover of that record that you're holding, the CD, whatever, hanging on the wall of Benjamin Malavi, who was our A&R, who was Capitol Records AR artist, A&R artist, in his office negotiating. And as it happens with so many bands out there, before the deal came to terms, Ben was gone.
right.
They let him go.
Yeah.
You know, and it's crazy because I remember sitting in this guy's office and it was just us. And we were sitting bullshitting. Actually, Kaz was there. I remember that. And here's the thing. We're like, the receptionist wheeled in a cart. I'm talking like grocery cart style cart full of demo tapes to the top. It was full. Wheeled them up and walked out of the office. And Ben's like, I hope you don't mind. It's what I do. And just randomly grabbed one out of the cart, popped it in his cassette player, 3 seconds, popped it out, chucked it. And I'm like, that's somebody's life. That's somebody. What the hell am I doing sitting here? How did I, you know what I mean? You ask yourself these questions. How did I get here? Are you kidding? I'm sitting in, and we're talking about a record deal, and that's us on the wall. It's mind blowing.
Yeah.
And what really drove the point home was the next cassette tape he grabbed. He pulled it out. I saw the cover, and it said Halloween on it. Now, for those of you that are real metal fans, like digging deep, Halloween is the biggest metal band in Detroit through the 80s. They were called Halloween, the Heavy Metal Horror Show, and they had an insane stage show. They had a guitarist, Rick Craig, who was Randy Rhoads before anybody knew who Randy Rhoads was. This guy is unbelievable. And I was the, 13-year-old kid when they played matinees. It was right down front. And I saw that and the same thing. He popped it in. He gave it 3 seconds. I said, oh, wait. He goes, what? I go, are you sure? He goes, oh, yeah. He goes, I'm sure this isn't going anywhere. I said, that guitar player. And those guys, they helped to produce my first demo when I was 15 years old. It killed me. And
Oh.
same thing, man. Just gone. So,
Do you
yeah.
remember Seduce?
Seduce was the other band.
Yeah.
Seduce was the other band. Yeah. I still speak with Mark Andrews from time to time on like Facebook or whatever.
Really?
Mark, Dave, Chuck. Oh,
Oh.
yeah, I grew up going to see those guys.
Yeah.
Those were the two bands.
Yeah.
Halloween, like they had a stage show, like I said, it was incomparable and incredible. But Seduce was, I mean, Cherry Street was Seduce influenced
Right.
on some levels. Yeah, yeah.
So as all this is going on,
Mhm.
it's 19 or we get to 1991, Nirvana hits. Did you or your guys like discuss like, oh shit, do we got to change, or how did that impact you, I guess I should say?
Well, you know what? I mean, we were moving back to our street image at that point anyway. I mean, if you look at progressions of the band, it might be harder to find photos and stuff because, you know what I mean? It's like if you made a magazine cover, somebody might have something out there or whatever, but it took a lot longer to get press out. You know, if we did something in Metal Edge, it'd be 6 months or whatever, sometimes before you actually ever even saw that. Now it's like, look at my life. Look, I just took a crap. Look, here's my, you know what I mean? Like, well, I mean, this is what people do. They put their entire lives out on social media. So it's not hard to find how you looked yesterday compared to, you know what I mean, 10 years ago or whatever. But by the time we had done the cover of Rock City News, you know, pretty much the big hair was like long gone.
Yeah,
And, you know, and I think probably so was the Roxy and Roxy doll.
right.
And that was that was Alice Cooper, man. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? Alice Cooper was a band.
yeah,
It wasn't a guy. That was Vince
yep,
or Vincent. And everybody just started calling him Alice because they assumed that's Al. So he took on the moniker, but I thought, give people something to love or hate, but don't let them ignore you. So literally driving in the van on the way to LA, Taz and I were in the middle of a conversation, and I said, I'm changing my name. You know, VanDahl was my godmother's name. I shortened it to Doll
yep,
and added the Roxy moniker.
yep.
Um, and Taz had just been a nickname forever. So that just became it. Uh, but by the time we're talking about, I know I digress.
No,
By
no.
the time we're talking about, we start getting to 91. It was finally getting to be less about the image and more about the music.
Right,
And you hear that when you listen to the record in songs like Whiskey and No Doubt About It. That's where the band was going. We had another handful of songs that didn't make the record that were more along that vein because there was no budget.
right.
So we didn't have the finances to get it finished. I mean, we produced and recorded that record at For the Record Studios. No, that was it? Oh, Fortress, sorry, Fortress Studios with Pat
Okay.
Regan. And Pat's the same guy that did like Deep Purple records, all the
Yeah,
big Kiss records. And Tommy Thayer, who is the Ace Frehley and Kiss,
yep.
and Eric from Warrant
Eric
co-produced the record.
Turner.
Eric Turner, yeah, they co-produced the record.
You're talking about Squeeze It Dry from 93, right?
Yeah,
Yep. Um,
yeah.
and was there a period you left Cherry Street in like 91 for
Yes.
Boneyard, correct? What happened with
I didn't. Yeah, I'll set that straight.
Okay.
I never left Cherry Street for another band.
Okay.
I left Cherry Street because Nirvana,
Okay.
Alice in Chains. It's like I love you and I love this, but we're not going to become that just to become that. And there's no room for what we do anymore. And I saw the writing on the wall and I loved it, but it wasn't going to feed us. You know what I mean? And it wasn't just about livers and libidos. It was about the music and how are we going to survive as a band? Um, I mean, they were just coming in at that time, and we'd already been around for a little while.
Yep.
So, you know, we'd gotten a record deal, and the record company's like, we're not pushing this, you know, because I mean, when I came back, we signed with JRS BMG.
Yes.
They had Stray Cats, they had Wilson Phillips, they had Asia, you know what I mean? Different stuff, but like, you know, top of their genres at the
Yep.
time. And nothing was happening with it.
Right.
It just they weren't going to put any money into it. And I think the record company folded shortly thereafter or whatever. So I got out because it just only seemed like it made sense. I wanted to do something if I was going to do something, I want to do something heavier, something more current. Because honestly, a lot of that music actually spoke to me. I miss the image thing, right?
Right.
And it's because I believe people go to see a show. If you want it perfect, buy the record, man. But you're going to see a show. It should be visual. You want to entertain people. I know vocals aren't always 100% on key. Guitars aren't always tuned, right? But it's live, man. You know what I mean? Listen to Early Kiss or whatever. And that was the thing. And I wanted to be able to do that and I wanted to perform. And it really got to be about the music. So, and then
Tom,
Boney.
Tom, Tom started Paris, or I don't know the exact how it started, but to put
We
out the
started,
first Cherry Street album, you
yeah,
guys did. How
we
did
started, we started Paris Records. Okay,
yeah.
so you were talking about, the band and the exposure we'd gotten. We were in Tower, we had our demo, we had our 3-song demo in Tower Records
Mm-hmm.
selling. They couldn't keep it on the shelves.
Yep.
And then we said, hey, let's see what we can do with the Warehouse. Independently, the band, right? We walked in and we negotiated with Warehouse Records. And we had floor displays that we had a contest with Warehouse Records. I think there were 28 stores or something in the area. And we provided them posters and we did a contest. And some of these stores were taking 10 posters and they were making 3D cutouts, like massive displays of our local band.
Yeah.
And these major labels were walking in there and they're like, we can't get this kind of floor. What the hell's going on? Who are these guys? The band that was the joke, right? The holdovers from the 80s. You know what I mean? But we were working. When I came back to the band, it was like everybody was on fire. The band was on a mission. And um, finally, we were able to leverage that. We're like, okay, look, this band has sold X number of units independently. We've got this kind of floor space in these record stores. We're able to tour all 50 states in the back of an El Camino, pulling a retired U-Haul, and we're showering in car washes, but we're touring.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're getting it out there.
Yeah.
And finally, the record companies went, oh, well, yeah, maybe we should give them a shot. That's how we got our deal with BMG.
Right. Right. What from you getting to the Strip in 89 to
Yeah.
92, 93 when the Squeeze It Dry album comes out, what like how did the Strip change? Was it drastic? Because I wasn't there for you.
Listen, it got drastic towards the end there, right? So I want to say end of 91. I gotta tell you a story. So the band had just finished playing the Roxy to a sold out house. I can't remember who we were. We did one night. I remember we did a double header with Pretty Boy Floyd. I don't think it was that night,
Okay.
but like a little bit about the night. It was a killer night. So heading to the state, the Warrant guys came out. They introduced us. I'm backstage racing to get to the stage because I'm running behind. I'm putting on my eyeliner. I don't know what I'm and I'm not looking where I'm going. And I ran into somebody heading for the stage. Smacked right into him. He was carrying a tub of iced beer. Sent shit everywhere. And I'm like, man, I'm so sorry. It was my fault. And I'm down on my knees and I'm grabbing beers. And he's like, dude, you got to hit the stage. Don't worry about it. It's cool. It's cool. And I'm putting beer and I look up and it's Slash. That wasn't surreal.
Right.
I didn't know he was back there.
Right.
Right. Man, you never knew. It was like that. And I was like, you're Slash. He goes, I know. It was a great moment.
Yeah.
And if you remind me, I'll circle back to that. That moment came back to us years later.
Okay.
But so I got out, I hit the stage, had a killer show, and this is all relevant to what you were asking about how it changed. After the show, the band is out front meeting the fans. We're the first guys to show up, the last guys to leave. That was the work ethic. Signing stuff, having a good time, screwing around with people. And I feel a hand grab the hair at the back of my neck and head and yanked me back. And I'm like, what the? You know what I mean? And I can't even, and I'm thinking this is somebody messing around. Look, one of the other bands, like, I didn't think it was a threat at first, but then it got serious. It got painful. And I was like, I'm being attacked, man. I saw a guy get knifed on the strip once. And I was like, so I came around and I'm a tall guy and I was like this and I was just about to cold cock him. It was a cop. It was a cop. He came up from behind me and he grabbed me by the hair and he was moving me along. And he's like, do it. It was like bad TV. Do it, you little punk. I'd fucking love it. Come on. Hit me. Hit me. And as mad as I was also smart. And I said, you know what? I said, you see these people? They all just walked out that door and they all came to see my band perform. And every one of them is watching you right now. Every one of them is a witness. And we're all going down to the police station. So take me in. Take me in. Let's go. He let me go. And I still went down to the police station and brought half those people with me and filed a formal complaint. But that's how the strip changed. They wanted it done. The local residents were tired of the rock scene. And to be fair, man, on a lot of levels, I understand why. People were having sex behind the buildings. They were taking shits on the sidewalk. And come on, you know what? This is the minority.
Yeah.
And this is a lot of the homeless. It's
Yeah.
not the rock and roll guys. It's not guys like me, mostly, usually.
Right.
Well, no, but it's seriously.
Right.
And it got ugly and it got violent and it went counter to everything that the entertainment industry supported. And they killed it. And that's exactly what they wanted to do because they wanted to convert clubs to high rises or whatever it is. And, it's funny because most of those clubs, I think, are still there. Like Gazzari's has been 6 different names.
Right. Right.
I played it as Billboard Live when I was in LA Guns.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? Different, the Key Club, whatever. But I know that the Roxy is still there. The Whiskey is still there.
How did you get Eric Turner and Tommy Thayer to work on the Squeeze It Dry album?
Threatened to date their sisters. No. So Eric became a friend of ours. Cherry Street was an Orange County band.
Yeah.
We called it Behind the Orange Curtain. And right up the street from where we used to live was a club called the Marquee. And Eric used to hang around at the Marquee all the time. And we all just got to be friends in the club. And this is before Warren had hit, but they were just on the verge or they just broke or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's funny because when I was in Michigan, Taz and I, before we moved to California, Warren came out and played our local area and they were with a band called the DeMalls, if you remember those guys.
Oh, yeah.
They were on tour together.
Yeah.
Jeff Hare was their tour manager, and Taz and I met all these guys, and we just it was one of those things, you know what I mean? We connected, and when we ran into each other again, it was like, so you guys played this laundromat, right? And those are the ones you remember, right? You think it's arenas? No, man, you remember the laundromat in Kansas City because you're like, I'm playing a laundromat, but we all just, hit it off or whatever. And it was a camaraderie thing. So that was the connection with it. And then when we were doing the record, we needed a different snare. And Eric goes, hey, let's borrow one from Steven. So we jumped in the car. We went to Steven's place. Steven came to the door. And Steven is actually the guy I spent the most time with on that night.
Okay.
And we were like, hey, you know what I mean? Who would expect somebody to remember, but they did.
Right.
And Steve and I became really good friends, and we are to this day, like when him and his wife Beth are in town or whatever, because I'm in the Vegas area.
Yeah.
We hang out.
Okay.
So
At what point do you decide, you know what, it's done with Cherry Street, I'm out for good?
I don't know. It's a tough thing. I think I stay with it longer than I would have because I love the guys. right? Um, and that's when you stay in the marriage because I love this person, but I'm not in love with them, or you're just putting off the inevitable. But I think it might be like the first time I saw an Alice in Chains video on MTV. And I didn't like make up my mind in that moment. Like I'm not a psychic or whatever, but I was like, I was asking myself, what is there that's left to do? Because, like you said, we put out the video. Um, we had national coverage in magazines. We had international coverage. We were doing Metal Forces and stuff like that. We were getting great reviews. People loved us and they hated us, but they were always talking about the band. We didn't play a show that we didn't sell out. We toured on our own, across the entire country. And it was just, it wasn't moving more records. There wasn't a demand. And it's not because the band sucked. It was because everybody was looking somewhere. They were looking over here and we were way over here. And I was like, I got to rip the Band-Aid off, you know? And it was a hard thing because I mean, it wasn't a popular decision when I left the band. It's not like they went, oh, we understand. They were like, really? So it was hard. And Taz and I, man, we were close. In fact, he's here now.
Okay.
He's at my shop.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, and he's done really, really well. He's an insane engineer.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's done a lot of big stuff. He's also the guitar player for the Union Underground. Like,
Okay.
I mean, they were doing, festivals with like 30 and 50,000 people last year. Um, yeah, he's never stopped being that guy. So we co-produced the Angels in Vain record, but
Yep.
he engineered it.
Right.
He engineered it.
Did
Uh,
did you and Tom stay close, or did the end of Cherry Street hurt that?
Remember what I told you about the day I met Tom? I fired his best friend.
Yep.
That kind of set the precedent for our relationship
Okay. Okay.
in the beginning. And I'm
Okay.
not saying anything bad about Tom.
No.
Um, I love Tom more now. And I think we have a better relationship. Now we don't, it's not like we're, calling each
Yeah.
other all the time but we're good.
Okay.
You know what
I
I
got you.
mean? I could work with Tom. We could do stuff together. In fact, Tom put out the Angels and Main record.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
didn't, we didn't even look at anybody else. We didn't entertain it because we're a family.
Right.
That'll never change because we've had experiences that we can only share with each other.
Right.
And so that makes for family. But back in the day, when we're young men with very, very strong ideas about what we're supposed to be doing and how we're supposed to be doing it, um, it can be challenging. And we are both very much that,
Okay.
yeah.
Sure.
We're both very strong-headed individuals and we're very opinionated. And I think the difference is probably now we just would agree on a lot more.
Right.
So I'm
How
so proud of him. Yeah.
how after Cherry Street, at what point do you end up meeting with Tracy Guns, and how does the LA Guns gig come about?
Okay. So
Thank you for your time, by the way. This is awesome.
man, it's my pleasure. I haven't done one of these in quite a while. I've been saying no to a lot because there's other things going on in my life. And
Sure.
if you want, we can tackle some of that. But
Yep.
to answer your question, before my short memory mind forgets what it was altogether. So that's Boneyard era, right? So Boneyard is out and playing. We've done demos. People love the band. It's a completely different kind of following. I mean, there were the girls, but it was dudes. It was more, you know what? It was more like a Guns N' Roses thing. When you go to a Guns N' Roses concert, everybody's there, man.
Yeah.
Different age groups, men, women, you know what I mean? So that's what we were seeing in that band. It was cool. It was dark. It was super funky. Um, the musicianship was unparalleled. Like the guys were so fucking good. In fact, Adam Curry, who is our bass player, he's been playing in Candlebox
Yeah.
25 years or something like that. I don't know.
Yep.
But he's also Angels in Vain,
Yep.
right? So these relationships just kind of do this sort of thing. But we had a show at the FM station, Boneyard did. And for the month before, I had every guy in the band but one, and I'm not gonna say who or what, but they all came up to me and said, "We can't deal with this guy. We can't." But he was integral. You couldn't remove this guy, and it couldn't remove any of those guys and really have it be the same band. But they were all threatening to quit. And the thing is, everybody came to me independently. So it's not like they all came to me at once and said, "Hey, this guy." No, I was like, "Dude, that's this." So on the day of that gig at FM station, the guitar player wanted to go look at a cabinet that he found for sale in like Trading Times or whatever it was, the recycler. I think that was the big one
Yep.
in LA and Orange County at the time. So we set up an appointment, and in the afternoon, before sound check, right before sound check, we went to this house to meet the guy who was selling this amp. That guy was Tracy Guns.
No. Okay.
Right. So we show up at Tracy Gunn's house. It's Tracy selling the cabinet. He doesn't put that in the magazine, of course, or whatever, the newspaper. So we just did, we had kind of, we hit it off. It was one of those things like, he's a funny guy, man. He's a smart guy. He's a funny guy. And we just connected. And he's like, "You guys got a show tonight?" And we're like, "Yeah." He's like, "Well, what are you doing now?" "Well, we're going to go to sound check." "I want to go." So Tracy jumps in the car and we're all going to sound check now.
Yeah.
So Tracy sees us at sound check and then leaves. And then later that night, he shows back up again at the show. But this time he's got Steve Riley with him. Okay. So he approaches me after the gig and he goes, "I want to talk with you." I said, "Okay." So he introduces me to Steve, and we're sitting down, and it's in the club, and it's loud, and everybody else is trying to hang around because they want to hang around the LA Guns guys, and they're trying to be discreet. And Tracy goes, "Look, man," he goes, "LA Guns is breaking up." He goes, "It's not common knowledge," he goes, "but Phil's out of the band, and I was getting ready to go on to do Killing Machine." He goes, "If you join, we'll keep the band together." I said, "What?" What- You were at the same show I just sang for, right? Because very different thing, right?
Right.
Heavy. It was heavy. Um, he goes, "Oh yeah." He goes, "The idea is to take the band in a new direction." And he goes, "And you're the guy that can do that." And then Steve piped in. He goes, "Yeah, man." He goes, "Look, bro." He goes, "This is how it is." He goes, "Brother, Tracy can pick him." He picked Axel. He picked Phil. He knows. So if he says, "You're the guy, brother," you're the guy. And if you know Steve, you know that's my best Steve Riley impersonation, as bad as
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
God rest his soul.
Yeah.
But I was like, I I got to think about it, man. And he's like, "I get that. That's cool." So we talked on and off, and I told him, I go, "Look," I said, "for me to even entertain this, I got to know that we work." You know what I mean? Um, and I said, "The other thing is, and I don't know how you feel about this, I'd have another condition." And that's it. Johnny comes in with me, and that was Johnny Cripp.
Yep.
He was one of two guitar players. Um, and we were very, very close. So he's like, "Well," he goes, "Mick isn't feeling strongly about staying with the band anyway." He goes, "Johnny's a great guitar player." He goes, "It can work. We can figure it out. We can make this work." So he invited Johnny and I back over to his house for a writing session. And that day we wrote Give,
Okay.
right? I mean, essentially, Tracy
Yep.
had the song written.
Right.
I'm not trying to
No.
Credit where credit is due, right?
Yep.
But we sat down and we made it a song
Yep.
in that sitting, and that is the first time we ever sat down together. And I was like, huh, if that's the first thing we've ever done, and it was literally on the spot. So we spent a lot of time that day just hanging out, listening to old demos, telling our stories, connecting, becoming brothers. And we had another show coming up at the Roxy like 2 weeks later, I think it was.
Boneyard.
And yes, Boneyard.
Yep.
Yes, Boneyard.
Yep.
And this time he brought out Riley and Kelly Nichols. And after that show, and in between this time, I had talked to all the other band members in Boneyard and I had told them what is going on. And I explained to them why. I was like, you don't want to be in the band anymore. You don't want to be in the band anymore. You don't want to be, because if we change the chemistry, it won't be the same band. And everybody went, you've got to do this.
Okay.
Because I asked them. I didn't tell them. I asked them. I was loyal. And 3 out of 4 guys said, you have to do this. Of course, the fourth guy is the guy that nobody wanted to play with.
Right.
So, and I love that guy, but you know what I mean?
Sure.
It's about a collective. It's not about one person. And so after the show, I came off stage and, met Kelly and hung out with him and Steve and Trace. And they said, so what do you think? I said, are you good with Johnny? And they said, yes. I said, let's do it. And that's how I became part of L.A. Guns.
Really? Did you do any recording with Boneyard, or was there anything that like?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's it's interesting because I moved around a lot for many, many years. Yeah, and I still have the same t-shirt I was wearing when I was in junior high school, but I can't find any of my music. I
Right.
can't find any of my magazines. I can, you know what I mean?
Right.
All the crap that you'd hope if you ever had kids they never found.
Right.
I can't know where any of it is.
Right.
Um, but yeah, there's probably 2 albums worth of material that's been recorded. There are demos out there that there's one called Sonic Therapy
Yeah.
in particular. You can find that. But yeah, a lot of music.
Because
We
because
recorded
I,
a lot
I
of-
I work with a label, FNA Records. They put out
Oh yeah.
tons of stuff from bands from back, demos, and they remaster them. And anyway, they're always like, hey, if you talk to any artists who might have stuff that they would be consider, and I know you said you maybe don't, but if you were able to
Oh,
find,
I know that it exists, and I know who has it.
so
Yeah, I know where it is. Yeah, I've been approached a number of times about it.
sure.
It's never been a priority to
Yep.
me to get it out,
Yep.
and I don't know. I don't know why that is, because some of it's really, really, in my opinion,
Yeah.
right? And I'm biased, but some of it's really good. It's very reminiscent of like a lot of it anyway. Early Guns N' Roses, Bang Tango, kind of really funky and that
That's
kind of.
exciting shit for me to hear anyway.
Yeah. So, all right. So if I can get my hands on it, I'll share it with you, and then we can talk about the other stuff.
Absolutely.
All
Absolutely.
right. I'll tell you, man, I've got probably a double album. There's a lot of stuff you probably don't know.
Sure.
I had a band with Kenny Olsen from Kid Rock
I'm gonna
called
ask
Pack
you
of
about
Wolves.
that.
Okay. Yeah, there's a double album there.
I've heard that, and yes,
It's true. Yeah, it's true. Jimmy Crespo from Aerosmith.
yes,
He and I wrote and recorded.
yes,
Did a lot of-
yes.
I played with some really, really great guitar
Hell yes.
players, man.
Hell yes.
I'm listening to myself like name drop. You know what I mean? It's not what I meaning to do,
Nope.
but like
Nope. I
I've been
get it.
very fortunate.
Hell yeah. When you're like, okay, we're gonna do this with LA Guns, what were the conversations like as to what direction the band was going to take? Because it was obviously a different direction.
It's a different band. I mean, look, when I signed up for this is how I know LA Guns. When I was in one of those bands that I started out in, those B circuit touring bands, we were playing Sex Action in the clubs before anybody knew who LA Guns were, right? So like bands like LA Guns, Great White, Love Hate, before anybody knew who these bands were, like I'm talking on a national level,
Yep.
I already loved them. Taz and I were like, yeah. So when I said yes, I'm thinking, I'm going to do an LA Guns record.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I'm dreaming about. Like, I want that rock record. And
Yeah.
Tracy was listening to Pantera, Down, and the Foo Fighters. And a lot of that, mostly the Pantera and Down, translated to what we were doing because, quite frankly, I think he was sick and tired of trying to write the rock record. And he was listening to really current, heavy music. And that's the record that he wanted to make. And that's why he pinned me down for the job.
Okay.
So we never really talked about that. It was just, I mean, I joined LA Guns. He didn't join Chris VanDahl.
Right.
He's Tracy Guns, and
Yeah.
Tracy wants to do this.
Yeah.
So you say, yes, sir, let's do that. Because respect where respect is due. I don't have multiple gold albums under my belt.
Right.
He does. So I'll take his lead, and what was said to me in the beginning was true. He did pick Axl. I mean, Axl might have picked him too, but he also said, hey, if you could be, pick any singer you want. He chose Phil Collins, Phil Lewis with Phil Collins. That would have been interesting.
That would have been interesting.
But Phil Lewis, who's fantastic. So I'm like, for once in my life, just shut up and listen.
Okay.
But I really, really would have liked to have seen what happened if he was in his rock and roll headspace.
Yeah.
I think I could have done a lot more with it. And to be fair to the fans that go, this isn't an LA Guns record, I understand that.
Yeah. I
mean, we were calling it the Fist Fight Every Night tour because of, right, there you go, American hardcore. Yeah.
Did Steve ever push back, or did the late CMC? Did anybody ever say, guys, can we?
Well, yeah. So what happened was, common sense said, change the name of the band, and that was Kelly Nichols.
Okay.
Kelly didn't just quit the band. Kelly goes, we got to change the name. This isn't LA Guns. I'm like, I agree. What happened is this: the record company said, the money is in the name. And if you change the name, no record deal for you.
Right. Right.
So it took a while, but eventually it came back around to, all right, the LA Guns, and it was wild because towards the end of our time, the crowd changed completely. First, it was girls, angry girls. Then it was angry girls and some dudes. And then it was just dudes and a lot of them because they finally figured it out. Like, new people discovered the record, right?
Yep.
Maybe not LA Guns old fans,
right?
But still, I mean, we would show up at venues. It got so bad, I made a shirt that said, "Where's Phil?" on it. And I was wearing it on stage every night. Because I was even asking the question.
Right.
And I love those guys. They are so good, man. Great players,
yeah.
And I love Tracy dearly, and Steve and I were very close for a time, we lived together, but it wasn't meant to be in the end. So I left the band, and then 2 weeks later, I got a phone call, and it was Tracy, and he's like, dude, we can work this out. Let's make this work. Come on, let's work. Because I was going through some other hard times, right? I was dealing with a lot of stuff at the time, personal crap.
Yeah.
But he's like, let's work it out. We'll have a meeting. So we did. We all got together, and we hugged it out, and I love you, man. I love you. Okay, all right, we're going to do it. We're going to do something. And then a week later, he called and fired me.
Jesus. Okay.
You're fired.
Um,
And I get it. I never held it against him because it's like he wanted to make it work,
yeah,
but in the band's best interest,
right.
it needed to be a different band. And that was where the success came from. He could do side projects all day long if he wanted to. And that's what he's doing now. Like Sunbomb and different stuff that he's doing. Like he loves to collaborate. That guy's always writing and he's always playing. He really is what he seems to be.
Yeah.
He is that guy. And I think he's so much better than anybody really knows. And I know that's saying something, right? Because people talk about what a great guitarist he is.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've really heard that guy. I lived with him. The stuff that he can play. I mean, if that guy ever decides to write his soul,
Right.
it's going to be scary.
And they've been putting out an album every 2 years since
I know.
2017. So the guy's prolific as shit.
Yeah.
So
I'm so happy to see him and Phil together and getting along. Because that's another thing. Like, I love Phil. Phil's the coolest dude. Phil moved to Vegas and he came over to my house and brought me an L.A. Guns t-shirt and some tea. How cool is that? You know?
I saw the tour with Warrant and Bang Tango at a club in Minneapolis.
Mhm.
And people that are coming to see Warrant and Bang Tango and LA Guns are probably expecting LA Guns to be like Ballad of Jane, all the old hits, and it wasn't.
These clubs used to promote the band with an old photo. Phil would be in the photo. I would show up to the venue and just shake my head and go, "Not again."
Right.
It was so deceptive. But yeah, go to your
No,
speaking to your
so
point.
I
Go
was
ahead, sorry.
how did the tour go? And I mean, at shows where it was obvious, where it maybe wasn't, people were expecting something different. I just how did the band take that on the tour?
How the bands take that?
Like
Or is that your-
what was your reaction
Oh,
to the tour? Like as the tour was going, because I'm just, and I'm trying to say this nicely, but I'm sure there were a lot of people who were disappointed.
I can tell you for sure there were.
Okay.
We would lose people
Okay.
sometimes while we were playing, but I would also see people move to the stage
Sure.
halfway. They would, and I mean, they would come from the back because I would play to the back. If you're in the front, no offense, I love you. I've already got you.
Yep.
It's the guys that are in the back, the people in the back that
Yeah.
I got to be more focused on because those are the people that you're going to lose. They're drifting to the corners or whatever. But I would see them halfway through the show, like they tilt their head the way your dog does when he's
Yep.
trying to figure out what you're thinking, and then all of a sudden they'd move forward. So we were doing it. It was working. It just Abe was never actually LA Guns. As proud as I am to be able to say that I was part of that, more it's about having been chosen by the guys that are that, right? LA Guns, Bill Lewis, period. I know that, and I was singing for them, right? So I get it. Anybody that ever walked out, but I also understand that people that not only didn't walk out, but became really big fans
Yep.
that I still hear from that are like,
Yep.
it was the greatest record ever. I'm like, man, I'm happy that you think so. And if it had a different name on it, I, you know, feel more comfortable, taking credit for that or part of it or whatever. But, LA Guns is Phil and Tracy.
How was and how was Tracy, like how did he take the tour? Obviously it's a lot different for him versus the glory years or whatever you want to
He
call it.
had so much fucking fun. He was on fire every night. He was in his glory. And I don't know, what do I have to compare it to, right? All I can say is I was never on a bus with him when he was with Phil and Mick,
Right.
but I heard plenty about it. I don't know how skewed that perspective was because it was in that time. When we look back, things look differently. But I can tell you, he was in his element. Maybe being on the road is just his element, and he was always that happy.
Okay.
Maybe.
Sure.
But Maybe it was just that he was having such a great time just doing what the fuck he wanted to be doing in that moment. And believe me, brother, when I tell you that is what he wanted to be doing in the moment
Yep.
because it was his ship,
Yeah.
right? He was staring it. He wanted this record this way, and that's what we did.
Did
So
did you hang out with Janie Lane at all on that tour? And I asked, I'm a big Janie Lane fan. I've done numerous videos on him. It's, and he had a sad demise with alcoholism, and I saw a lot of those shows. He was kind of drinking a lot, maybe not all the time, but did
I,
you interact with him?
I'm here's as honest as I can be with not just you but with myself because this isn't a question I don't think I've ever answered this before. So I loved Janie from the time that I met him in Michigan before the band broke,
Yeah.
and he was a warm and kind and funny human being. For anybody out there that doesn't know, those are qualities you attribute to Janie. Also, he was incredibly talented. But I'm human. And this is the thing that killed me, right? And this hurt my relationship with Janie. Steven was one of my best friends.
Okay. Yeah.
And I felt they fucked him.
Yeah.
So when they were touring, he was not part of the band.
That's right.
And I resented the fact on Steven's behalf. And guess what? I'm older. I'd like to think I'm a little wiser. It wasn't my place to do that. You know what I mean? But I know what Steven was going through.
Yep.
And I knew how he was struggling, and I knew what kind of a wonderful person he was. So it wasn't fair because it never made sense to me. That dude is so insanely talented.
Yeah.
Like all those high vocals on those records,
Totally.
those are all Steven, dude.
Totally.
Like that, he could sing circles around most of the best singers. There are two guys that I know of that are musicians that are probably better singers than the lead singers in their bands. And I tried to bring them together on a number of occasions and never had any success. But that was Stephen Sweet, the drummer for Warrant, and Jeff Pilson,
Yeah.
the bass player for Dokken and Dio.
Yep.
That guy can sing his ass. Those guys are so good. I wanted to bring the two of those guys together. I just said that if you guys are listening, I'm saying it again. But it made it hard because I didn't engage as much as I could have.
Sure.
And it was always a kind relationship, and I always liked him, but I was always kind of standoffish because I was like, man, that's not cool what you did. So I've got this loyalty thing.
Yeah.
And it tends to shoot me in the foot more than anything else.
Right.
So
Right.
I wish now I would have spent more time with Janie, and I asked myself, could that have made a difference?
Right.
I mean, probably a lot of people ask themselves that question, but
Right.
it
When,
is sad.
when the tour ended, what were the conversations? I mean, and this is, I'm before you quit.
Yeah.
And before you got fired, what were the conversations like between you and Tracy? Was it like, okay, because you did start recording the follow-up, didn't you?
We had probably half a record written. We were writing songs during soundcheck through the entire tour.
Right.
I had started playing guitar, you know what I mean? Like things were, and we all wrote. So dog's got to go out.
Yep. That's Charlie's. Just open up the patio door. There she
We're
goes.
coming in, going out.
Yep. Was it the same
Charlie.
direction, or were you? Is that what you guys were thinking?
It was the same direction, but it was also different in some way that's very hard to quantify.
Sure.
I think it was more original.
Okay.
That's how it felt to me. It felt like, oh, this is what we're trying to be, American hardcore. This is what we're becoming, the next record.
Okay.
And I think that would have been a surprise to a lot of people, probably ourselves included, if we had completed it. And the conversations were like, we're talking to Udo, and we're booking Japan, and we're booking the next tour. And I don't know if you realize, but like 95, 96, toured for like 2 years, man.
Yeah.
Like we toured and toured and toured and toured, and toured hundreds and hundreds of dates.
Yeah.
So that's before the record came out.
Right.
So yeah, there was a lot of touring.
What ended like you said you quit. You were asked what led to you going, I'm quitting. I'm quitting.
Because I it was the same thing as in Cherry Street, essentially. I saw the writing on the wall. I recognized what was coming, or believed I did. How
Yeah.
about that? Retrospectively, I'm going to be honest about it as I can. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, because I don't know what the alternate reality would have been, but
Right.
it felt to me like this isn't what the world wanted their LA Guns to look like. Um, I felt like I was doing potential damage to other people's careers where they could be moving forward. And if I was staying, I was a roadblock. I was going to be an obstacle to them getting it figured out. Look, man, if somebody joined Led Zeppelin or I mean Black Sabbath, and it was in the way of Ozzy in Tony's ear going, I'm the guy for you. Let's do another record. And Ozzy's over here thinking, you guys are a bunch of idiots. What the fuck do you think you're doing? It's not the band. It's not what people want. Right? And I'm seeing myself that way, and I'm like, I'm the other girl. I'm the other, you know what I mean? I'm the person that's in the way. And it took maybe six more people, six more other girlfriends or whatever before they finally figured, well, let's run the list. Like, so Ralph Sinatra, Michael Starr,
Right?
right? Michael Starr was in the band. Jizzy Pearl
Yep.
was in the band. One of my favorite singer of all times, Jizzy
Yeah.
Pearl. And I'm sure you know there's a story there too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Coming up.
But I love that guy's voice. I love that guy too.
Yeah.
Who else? Because I know there was just like a handful of different people that like
Remember they had that girl Delana from that.
yeah. From that show, no, Supernova. Is that what it was?
Something
Rockstar
like that.
Super.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, they were just like, working their way back to Phil and vice versa.
Yeah. Right.
So
So they did cajole you back. Only
yes.
So
Well, yeah, they probably yeah.
were you just like, or what made you decide to accept?
Uh-huh. Oh, when they asked me to come,
Yep.
love.
Okay. I got you.
That's it. Love, because there's a big part of me that didn't want to go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, hey, you might not love the band, but how many people do you know can say they were in LA Guns when your dream, your entire life is to do a certain thing? And that's all you care about, and it's all you want, and you eat, drink, breathe, and sleep it. That was me from the time I was 11 years old, man. There was no, what do you want to be when I wanted to be an astronaut for like 15 seconds. And then I got into my older brother's record collection. And I went, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
And that was it. That's what I wanted. And I never knew anything other than that until very recently. Did I ever even consider anything other than that? I didn't leave myself options. So that part of me that didn't want to go said, I love you too. Okay, we'll make it work. But deep inside, I knew. And when the phone call came, it killed me, but it was also, there was something there that was like, and I don't know, maybe they talked me back so they could fire me so they could say they fired me. But as far as I'm concerned, we're both right there.
Right. Did you ever like, or not that you're buddy, but did you ever talk to Gracie since then?
Sadly, I think I saw him one or two times at, okay. So here's the one time for sure. Like, so they were coming through town, and it's when Michael Starr was singing for them.
Yep.
and they were playing Billboard Live, and they said, dude, you got to come down. Come down to the show. Come on, we'll get you up on stage. I go, no, you got to come. Come on, man. And I went, here's the deal. I'll come because I want to see you guys,
Yeah.
but do not invite me on because, and I meant it. Don't invite me up. I'm just that guy in the back. What'd they do? Hey, we got somebody in the audience. Da, 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 Chris VanDahl. I was like, so I got mad. I got really mad because I genuinely, and I meant it, legitimately asked them not to do that. But I wasn't going to be the guy that's like, fuck you.
Right.
You know what I mean? I wasn't going to do that. And they didn't, Tracy knew that.
Yeah.
So I got up and we did Give.
Okay.
And I put a lot of pissed into that song. And when I finished and I dropped the microphone, it was like, because it was silent. And then the place went off.
Right.
And it just so happened that my future manager was in the audience of that show. And he tracked me down because of that show.
Okay.
And that was the next leg of my career. It was because of that, and the fact that I got up. But yeah, we all hung out backstage after that show,
Sure.
and and it was awesome. And I think I saw Tracy once after that. But I'm going to be honest with you. As much as I'd have loved it, I wouldn't expect it because your family's current. Like
Yep.
he's living with his guys and he's doing his thing, and you know what I mean? And that's kind of the nature of the beast. And it's sad because we were close. At least I believe we were close.
Right.
Yeah. He led me to believe that.
Yeah.
But I also kind of feel like, let's be honest, the disassociation is deliberate on his part because it's hard for me to say this because I know who Tracy is. And Tracy's very good at not giving a fuck what anybody else thinks. He's a very strong person and he knows his own mind. But it could be a council thing, you know what I mean? Management, I don't know. But let's just say this is hypothetical and this is my imagining.
Yep.
I'm not speaking for Tracy. But part of me thinks that maybe it's like you don't want to call anybody back to that era of the band. It's not doing you any favors to call people back to American hardcore when you're moving forward with Phil Lewis 4 albums later. Maybe now it would be okay because they've been together again for a long time. Yeah. But I had a very personal experience with somebody that lives through that on a much larger level, and that's Jimmy Crespo.
Yeah.
Because Jimmy is the only other truly official member of Aerosmith that ever existed. He took Joe Perry's place for 5 years, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was an official member of Aerosmith. But they don't play lightning strikes. They don't talk about, you know what I mean, rocking a hard place. It doesn't come up. It doesn't exist. Because it's hard for the guys in the band and how they feel. That shit's very, very personal. It's better that that's just left back there. So only recently, and I say recently, this is probably a year, 2 years now, Jimmy took a fall and he was hurt pretty seriously and he ended up in the hospital. And I was there visiting him with him. And right after I left, Steven showed up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Steven showed up in the hot. So we might not be in touch all the time, but that doesn't mean I don't know what's happening in your life. And that's kind of how I like to believe maybe it is. Like maybe Tracy knows about what I've been doing all these years. It's kind of sad though. I would have loved to invite him out to like Legends in Concert to see, the Steven Tyler gig because he used to laugh all the time because it didn't matter that I had dreadlocks and 8 piercings in my ears and you know what I mean?
Yep.
It was, you look like Steven Tyler. Sound like Steve Tyler. You know what I mean? It was a and he used to laugh about that all the time. So to actually see me turn that into a career, I'm sure he probably get a pretty big kick out of it.
Hell yeah. Was it after LA Guns? And you mentioned Love Hate. And by the way, the Blackout in the Red Room album is fucking amazing.
To this day. Oh man. Yeah.
So is that when you played bass for Love Hate? Was after LA Guns?
Yes.
Yeah. I know there was another band called The Vow, which
yes. Yep. Oh. That's another thing. Yeah. So what happened was after LA Guns, I regrouped some of the Boneyard guys,
Hmm.
and we called the band the Vow. And I had signed with a management company. This was Full Circle Entertainment, and their plan for me was multimedia. It was music, television, and movies because they handled like movie stars and TV stars and whatever. And they wanted a music division. They'd been looking for an artist to launch their music division, Armada. And that turned out to be me, is what I found out later. That's they saw, right? So um anyway, uh so long story short, put the band back together, get into the studio, write new music, get music ready, go out, do auditions for TV shows and movies. And I was not an actor. And that was not my objective. That was their plan for me. And I said, I'm game. It sounds like fun. Let's see where we can go with this. And to my surprise, the first stuff they sent me out on, I booked.
Yeah.
I took the psychopathic lead in the Candyman movie Day of the Dead, and Donna D'Errico was one of the co-stars in that film. I'm not a star. I'm not saying co-star to me, but
Yep.
to whoever the leading guy was, Nikki Sixx was up for the role, and I got it.
Right.
And it's funny because the day I had to read for the role, I was up the street shooting a video for The Vow.
All right.
So I showed up in full regalia because I was up the street.
Yeah.
And when I walked in the room, I think that's it. I think they saw that and they went, that's the guy.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Because I just happened to be that. And I ended up doing wardrobe for all the other goth characters in that movie or whatever.
Right.
But so that was how The Vow came. It was like, get this together. Let's make things happen. My train of thought just jumped its track.
Well, what happened with the Vow, and then that leads to Love Hate.
Oh yes, yeah,
Where-
yeah, yeah, yeah. So the Vow thing was happening. I think actually that might have been a little after because
Okay.
Johnny. Well, while this was happening, I got a call from Johnny,
Okay.
and Johnny stayed with LA Guns, and he's like, "Look, man, I'm really sorry. I shouldn't have handled the situation the way I did." Like he disappeared. Like we were really tight. He lived above me. We lived in the same condos. Like you know what I mean. We were, and he was just like avoiding me. Like I'd pull in and he ducked down in his truck, and I'm like, "Are you kidding? Really?" So it was awkward for him. He didn't know how to deal with it, I guess. Like I wanted to stay, he wanted to stay in the band after I was out or whatever. In his mind, it meant we couldn't be friends.
Okay.
But so that went on for a long time, and then he finally decided he'd had enough of LA Guns, and he quit the band. And he called me up and he said, "I'm sorry. I don't know what I was thinking. Give me a chance." And I was like, "Yeah, you know what I mean? We're brothers. That's what you do." So Johnny was in the band when Jizzy had joined LA Guns. Well, Jizzy said, "Screw this." Or, I mean, I wasn't there. I'm paraphrasing, right?
Right.
This isn't like necessarily that part of the story. I don't know.
Right.
But that would be Jizzy's to tell or whatever. But
Yep.
Jizzy wants to put Love Hate back together. So this is funny. I was playing bass in an Alice in Chains tribute band
Okay.
for fun.
Okay.
It was a fun. It was like so. So I had a bunch of gear, like a bunch of old Ampeg SVTs I bought off of Adam, and I was the guy that had like Gibson Les Paul basses and Thunderbirds and shit like that. I always thought that stuff was so cool. And Jizzy's talking to Johnny about reforming Love Hate, and Johnny goes, "I know a guy that can play bass," and I mean, Skid. That's a tall order, man.
Hell yes.
I mean, Skid is not just a bass player. Skid's like the bass player.
Yep.
So Johnny, when Kelly Nichols left L.A. Guns because he did, and that was a big change too, right? Like that
Yeah.
was a big part of the cool kind of walked out the door with Kelly Nichols. I mean, everybody thought of Kelly that way.
Yep.
Kelly's the cool guy in the band. He's low key, you know what I mean? Um, Real rock star type. And so when Kelly left, instead of adding another bass player, we became a four piece. So Johnny stopped being the second guitar player and he
Yeah.
became bassist.
That's
So
cool.
Johnny wanted to be the guitar player again. I got the bass gig.
Okay.
So, like, I actually sat down with people, including Skid, with his blessing, right, to do this, to go on. He was very cool with it or whatever. We reformed LA Gun, or we reformed Love Hate,
Yeah.
and we started rehearsing all the time. Spent a lot of there are pictures, and I got a video somewhere of a rehearsal.
Okay.
But you know what I mean? Just he used to get mad because he would show up, and we would be the rest of us would be playing. And I love those songs.
Yeah.
So I would be singing them. He'd
Yeah.
walk into the room and I would be singing, you know what I mean? Dope or Wasted or whatever it would be, Angel.
Yeah.
And he's like, what are you doing? It's like, well, you're not here.
Right.
So I couldn't resist. I couldn't
Hell yeah.
resist. But right before we started touring, Jizzy gets a phone call. How'd you like to be the singer for Rat? So Jizzy quits his own band to go join Rat.
Right.
So that's what happened.
Okay.
That's what happened. So it was a great time though.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. And you mentioned working with Kenny Olsen from Kid Rock's
Oh,
band, Pack of Wolves.
yeah,
Like,
my life is insane. So
yeah.
I think it was 2011. Anyway, I got done, man. I was like, I finished with this management company, no fault of their own. They delivered everything they said they would promise. They promised, they delivered, whatever. I did movies. I got TV show parts, and then like I got replaced at the last second. Walker Texas Ranger was shooting in Texas, and at the last second they gave me I got a gig, and they recast it because they wanted to use somebody local. And then I was up for the part, and nobody knows this, but for the part of Spike in Angel, the Buffy spinoff.
No
And
shit.
I was taller than the lead, so I didn't get it. But how different would my life have been? And I think about that, right? And it was like, and it's nothing I set out to do.
Yeah.
But my band kept getting mad because they wanted to be brought under contract.
Yeah.
And my management company said, we don't fucking care who you play with, but you're our artist. We're not signing anybody.
Right.
And again, here's the loyalty thing. They were upset, so I kept fighting for them. And finally, my management company got fed up with me, and they're like, you know what? Let's just call it a day. Because I wouldn't let up about it.
Yep.
Week later, the band broke up. Again, right? It's like bad cartoon comedy, but it's basically true. Like same story. Like okay, and it's done. And I'm like, now what am I gonna do? So I was done. I said, fuck this. I'm getting out of the business. I've been doing this forever. I moved back to Michigan, which is where I'm from. Only that wasn't far enough. I went to northern Michigan, which is like it's just winter, right? It's trees and it's bears and that's it.
Yeah.
And I'm out there and living in Traverse City, which is actually it's a beautiful place, but you know, it's kind of a touristy town. It closes down half of the year. I'm in my dentist's chair, and he said, "Are you going to the gala tonight?" I'm in Traverse City, Michigan. Gala? The hell are you talking about? He goes, yeah. He goes, you know the photographer Tom Wright? And as it happened, I did. Tom Wright is a photographer that shot everybody in like the 70s and early 80s that was anybody, like Led Zeppelin, The Who, the Eagles, Bob Seger. Like he was like traveling with these bands. And he was from Michigan, and most of those bands he used to shoot in the Grande Ballroom in Detroit.
Yeah.
Well, he decides he's going to do a gallery showing in northern Michigan in wintertime. Like, really? Are you kidding? And I was like, well, I didn't get an invitation. He goes, you don't need one. He goes, just come down. He goes, and afterwards, he goes, they're having a party at this club called Ground Zero, and everybody's going to go. So I'm like, sure.
Yeah.
So I ended up going to this thing, and the party afterwards at the club, dude, there's guys from the Rolling Stones, the Eagles, Bob Seger's band. Like all these people showed up, and it was like, what's going on here? It gets long, so I'm going to make it short. My wife, who doesn't drink,
Mhm.
decided to that night. And suddenly she's walking around telling everybody, because these guys all decide to get up on stage and they're all playing.
Yeah.
All these guys from these other my husband used to be in L.A. Guns. You should have him come up and sing. I'm like, shut up. Stop it, right? Next thing you know, I get a tap on the shoulder. You want to come up and sing some Bob Seger? I was like, I love Bob Seger.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did. And we killed it, if I say so myself. There's a guy in the audience that night. His name's Dodd Russell. Dodd was the oldest friend of Kenny Olsen, who was a lead guitar player in Kid Rock.
Yeah.
Biggest band on the planet at that time, bar none.
Yeah.
Like everything was Kid Rock. Kenny's parents lived up the road from Dodd. Apparently, Kenny confided to Dodd years before that he was looking for a singer. He wanted to do something different. After the show that night, Dodd approached me and he's like, hey, give me your number, man. He makes custom motorcycles and stuff. Well, sure, made a friend, whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't know this, but he called Kenny up and he said, I found your guy. A week later, I get a phone call from Dodd. He's like, hey, meet me at this address tonight, 7 p.m. I'm like, what's going on? He was just be there. Very cryptic. I'm like, all right, cool. So I'm getting ready to leave, and I'm like, he's supposed to call me back. I don't know what it was, but I get a phone call. He's like, hey, man, I lost my dog, and I'm chasing him through the woods. I'm not going to be able to make it, but you just go over there. I'm like, to who? He's like, just go. I'm like, what is going on, right? Well, I could not. I got to find out what the prize is.
Right. Right.
What's the mystery? So we get there. I knock on the door, and the door opens. A beautiful black girl answers the door. I mean, I don't know this person. I'm like, she's like, you must be Chris and Kelly. We're like, yeah. Oh, come on, Kenny's outside. So she walks us through the house, beautiful house, in the back, fire pit, lake, whatever. Here's Kenny Olsen sitting on a log with an acoustic guitar with this other long-haired guy and a couple other people around, and his parents. This is his parents' house. This is Kenny Olsen's parents' house. He came up because he wanted to meet me after Dodd called him.
Okay.
So I got ambushed.
Yeah.
And we sat down that night and wrote half a record around a fire.
Okay.
Then I built a full Pro Tools studio in the lower level of my house, and we ended up recording a record. I brought Adam in, Candlebox, The Vow, Boneyard.
Yep.
And Shannon Boone from the Howling Diablos was our drummer. We recorded like a double album, and during this time, he's touring. Kenny's got 3 shows at DTE Music Theater, which is Pine Knob in Detroit.
Yep.
We go there. We're all hanging out backstage, hanging out with Bob Ritchie. That's Kid Rock and stuff. It was very, very surreal. And then Kenny was supposed to be working towards writing the new record. I think that was American Badass era. I think it was there right after or whatever.
Okay.
Kenny quit the band because we were doing Pack of Wolves. Kenny just quit Kid Rock. I said, what are you doing? Have you bumped your head? You've got 2 kids and a wife. Yeah, but it wasn't going to kill me anyway. This is better. I go, Kenny, we're just writing something. We're recording and stuff, and the music sounds good, man. But it's like, this is the biggest band on the planet. He's like, no, this is what I need to do for myself. So he quit the band. And then he tried to talk to Bob about having him take us out on the road. Bob's like, you left me high and dry, dude.
Right.
You just stopped answering your phone. And I don't know where they're at in the relationship now,
Yeah.
but he never went back. Kenny never went back to Kid Rock after that. And we stopped having fun. Kenny brought in a manager, this guy named Tim. I can't remember his last name, but he was a British guy and he used to manage Kid Rock. Come to find out, Bob had him pull over the bus in the middle of the night and threw this guy off his bus because he found out the guy was stealing from the band. And this is the guy Kenny brought in to manage us. So the first thing the guy did was like, Kenny, it's all about you. You've got all the power. You make all the decisions. You're the He was just in Kenny's ear telling him how great he is. And Kenny's a pretty humble guy, man. He was pretty, you know what I mean? He's pretty salt to the earth. And I think just after being behind Bob all those years, see there, it's Kid Rock and Twisted Brown Trucker, right? Well, he was Twisted Brown Trucker.
Right.
But everybody knows who Kid Rock is. Not everybody knows who Kenny Olsen is. And he was behind that guy for so many years. I don't think it took much to make him go, well, do you want to be behind another guy?
Right.
Right. So all of a sudden, I told Kenny in the beginning, is I went to Michigan to get away from music. And I told him, I said, I'll do this with you as long as it's fun, as long as we're enjoying ourselves and we have a good relationship. I said, but the minute it gets stupid or people start turning on each other or it becomes about this guy's making, I go, everything gets split equally. I don't care if you're the fucking drummer. I don't care if you're the bass player. It doesn't matter. Everything is split. However many guys, you know what I mean? Music is, lyrics, melody, and music, right? So 2/3 right out of the gate, that would be me. Everybody's getting an equal share. I just wanted that footing and it just started to get weird. And I said, I'm done. I'm not doing it anymore. And we're still friends. In fact, I ran into him not long ago on a flight from Detroit to Vegas. He lives in Nashville now. He's in Nashville, writing and working or whatever. And we shared seats and whatever and caught up, and it was great. Same old Kenny, like funniest guy. He's what everybody calls him, America's friend, because everybody loves that dude, and there's good reason for it. But yeah, that's my other like weird.
What happened to the music then? I mean,
I got that.
like,
Okay, so we never got to release the record because, as I understand it, we got bogged down in red tape from Kid Rock's camp.
okay,
Then that was the thing with Kenny. Like, we can't. Is it true? I mean, I didn't have any way to verify it,
right,
but I wasn't going to put out a record that 3 other guys are on without everybody being agreeable.
right,
That would be wrong. So, yeah. But it's funny because when we were on the plane, he's like, "Man, we should get back together. We should release that record."
yeah,
So that kind of tells me that whatever the problem was, maybe it's gone away.
right.
Still, without a conversation, and I just haven't had the time or energy to have that conversation. And I figure at some point, maybe the world will hear it. I don't know.
I hope so, because I want to hear it.
Yeah, and I feel that way about it sometimes too, but it's a little too much ego for me to think the world must hear this music that I wrote, you know what I mean? I co-wrote or whatever. But it's pretty cool. I mean, it's really all over the place. Like I couldn't put my finger on it and tell you it's one type of thing. It's sort of Kid Rocky in that way.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It moves through different genres.
Sure.
from extremely heavy to like some very, very bluesy and soulful like
Okay.
stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
You mentioned Jimmy Crespo.
Yeah.
Was it
Yeah.
called the Jimmy Crespo Project?
Yeah.
So how did you get involved with
It
him?
was. It was. All right. So I was living in Cali and I got a phone call from this guy who was like, "Hey," and he knew who I was from Aerosmith. I'd been doing the Aerosmith tribute thing for a while, and the band was blowing up. And he's like, "I want to put on a show here in Vegas, and I want it to feature you and Jimmy Crespo, called Voodoo Train." That's what he said. It was called. The show was going to be called Voodoo Train. I was like, "Who?" And he goes, Jimmy Crespo was a guitar player that replaced. I'm like, I know, I get that. I go, but who, he like, huh? He's like, yeah. He goes, I'm talking to Jimmy about it. I'm talking to you about it. This went on for a little while, and I was like, you know what? Give me Jimmy's number. So at least I think it went like that. I called Jimmy. Jimmy called me. I don't know exactly how it happened, but we connected and we decided we don't need that guy. Not because we wanted to oust anybody for no good reason, but because it was all really weird and fishy.
Okay.
So Jimmy goes, but you know what, bro? He's like, I've been checking you out and we should get together. I said, really? He goes, yeah. He goes, do you have any interest in coming to Vegas? And I'm like, it's 4 hours drive or whatever. Sure, I'll come meet up with you. And we did. We jumped into the car and, met Jimmy and his wife, Cynthia, and it was a great meeting. We talked, we told lots of stories, we hit it off famously. It was like, it was weird. It was because I walked through the door and he just did, whoa, right? I go, what else am I going to do with this space? You
Right.
know what I mean? That was like the opening of our relationship, basically. It was pretty funny and we laughed about it. And he's like, yeah, man, it's no joke. He goes, how do you go out to eat? I
Right.
go, yeah. I said, I know, right? And people think it's on purpose. I go, but the reason it works is because this is just who I am,
Yeah.
and we're so close. And that, and he was like, when he got to know me, he goes, like, you guys are. I mean, he goes, I knew him when he was a demon. Like, it was bad, man. He's like, I'm the only thing that kept that band together. He goes, one time I swung my guitar at his head. He's like, it was, yeah, 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 yeah. Well, I mean, this is when like Steven was at his very worst
Yeah.
with drug rages, and he'll tell you. Steven will be the first guy to tell you. He's very, very forthcoming about all that stuff.
Right.
Um, but we hit it off, man, and we talked more frequently all the time on the phone. And then I would come up and visit. And at one point, he goes, "Would you ever consider moving here?" And some things had happened where we were at, and it was time for a change. So we said, you know what? Let's look at it. He goes, the market's great. And it was. So we found a foreclosure and we put an offer down on it and we got it for him. So I ended up moving up the street. S- Bless you.
Excuse me.
So we ended up putting a band together. Didn't have a name at that time, but essentially it was the Sin City Sinners,
Okay.
which was a huge Vegas band, right?
Yeah.
It was Doc Ellis. Phil Varone was playing drums for us. And then we got Kyle two times. Well, Kyle, I call him Kyle two times. From Bang Tango.
Ah,
And then eventually Rob Conroy took over Phil Varone's place as the drummer. But we started sitting in and you know what I mean? I'd sit in with the band here because Jimmy used to play with those guys
yeah.
all the time. He was like the unofficial Sin City Sinner guy. Like he was always the special guest star, but he was always playing.
Right.
And there was chemistry. So we decided that we were going to start writing a record and then put a band together. But I said to him, I go, are you sure you want to do this? He goes, what do you mean? I go, you realize what kind of grief you're going to get? Look at me. It doesn't matter how good the music is. It doesn't matter what our intentions are. People are going to be like, you're trying to be Aerosmith or you're pretending whatever, you're trying to replace Steven. He goes, no, man. He goes, he goes, I'm not worried about any of that.
Yeah.
I said, okay. So we started doing shows and they were packing.
Yeah.
And immediately it was, you guys are an Aerosmith tribute band. And he was getting really upset about it. I go, Jimmy, oh, yeah, that's what it was. You have to stop looking like that, he said to me. You got to stop moving like that. People think we're an Aerosmith tribute band. I said, Jimmy, we are an Aerosmith tribute band. I said, we play 90% Aerosmith. I said, whether it was your era or something else, and look at your singer.
Yeah.
I go, what's going to change that? Do you think if I'm wearing blue jeans or leather pants, it's going to make a damn bit of difference? You know? And it just got worse and worse. And then I was getting corporate offers for Aerosmith
Yeah.
with Jimmy Crespo. So they'd add a couple grand onto the offer. And I found a way to generate. I was like, hey, you can come do this, you know what I mean? Depends underwear for adults corporate gig with us. We'll play 3 songs. You'll make $2,500. And then you can come do you can do special guest shows with Aerosmith if we'll offer you like an a la carte item. It was for his purposes, it was brilliant. He's playing exactly the music he's known for playing and that he loves.
Yeah.
And people are recognizing him for that, and he's getting paid what he's due. And he did it a couple times, and then I don't know what it was, but like people want to book the band with like Aerosmith more than they want to book this. And he calls it the Jimmy Crespo Project.
Yeah.
I go, Jimmy, the Joe Perry Project, the Jimmy Crespo. What you think was going to happen? I mean, not for nothing, but come on.
Yeah.
He's a smart dude. You know, you got to get grounded at some point and go, this is the reality. No disrespect intended. You know, I loved him like a brother, man. And he's an amazing guitar player. And he's probably the reason Steven Tyler's still alive, as I understand it, because, man, but you're not going to put the two of us in a band together and have people not like go, hey, Aerosmith.
Right. Right.
So that's kind of what happened. We ended up moving, and then during all of this, I ended up getting the Legends in Concert gig.
And that's where I want to go because there was Aerosmith
Aerosmith,
and
yes.
Legends in Concert, and I think some of that over. So I'll stop there, and I'd love to hear how those came about.
Yeah. Okay. So, while I was in Michigan recording the Pack of Wolves record, I got a phone call from a guy named Neil Shelton. Neil said, I got your number from a mutual friend. And I have an Aerosmith tribute band. And he said, you'd be perfect to sing for it. And I just laughed. I mean, literally, Kenny Olsen was in my basement tracking guitar. And I said, listen, man, I said, I don't know what you were told. I said, and while I really appreciate the phone call, I said, the last thing you will ever catch me dead doing is singing for an Aerosmith tribute band. Those were my words. I own them, I eat them. Hand me the salt. But I go, besides, I said, I'm not even in California anymore. I'm 2,000 plus miles away, living in the woods in northern Michigan, tracking a record with Kid Rock's guitar player, which I didn't even plan on doing. I came here to get away from music. He goes, oh, okay. All right. Okay. Well, it was nice talking to you. Bye. 2 months later, I got a phone call. It's Neil Shelton. Are you still in Michigan? Yes, Neil, I'm still in Michigan. All right. Okay. Bye. 6 months later, I get a phone call. Same thing. 2 years later, I get a phone call. I'm in Texas. I had enough of Michigan. I'm now going to Texas. Taz lived in Texas. All the Cherry Street guys lived in Texas. Thinking about moving to Texas. I'm thinking about it. But while we're there, my house in Michigan is on the market. My wife Kelly and I decide to go back to California for a week just to visit. We got so homesick in that week, we dumped the whole Texas plan. Like we bought a plot, we picked out the house, we had the plans being drawn. We just dumped it all, packed it up, and moved to California.
Okay.
Phone rings. It's Neil. Hey, are you still in Texas? I'm quiet. I'm like, no, we're back in California, but I got a house to remodel and I'm not going to be done for a year. A year later, the phone rings. It's Neil. I'm not kidding.
Jesus.
And I'd never met him face to face, but I loved this guy. I got him. I was like, that's amazing. He called me up and I said, all right, I'll come check out your shitty band. And it's hysterical because I was right. The band was awful, but he was a really good guitar player. And more importantly, I had a ball. And then I started thinking about it and I was like, what if I did this? I've been fighting it my whole life, right? I've been fighting the Steven Tyler comparison thing ever since the Cherry Street days. What if I embraced it?
Yeah.
So after that rehearsal, we were alone and we're talking. And I think I drove to his house and I rode with him. So it's the two of us. And I go, look, I said, if I was willing to entertain this, I go, I would have some conditions. And I fully expected him to tell me to go fuck myself. Go fuck yourself. I expected it. But I said, look, I go, if you want me to do this, we fire everybody. We get all new guys, and they've got to be the right guys down to the buttons on their shirt, the amps they play, and the guitars they play through them. They've got to be Aerosmith. Because if we're going to do it, we're going to make it as authentic and respectful as possible. I said, I've seen these bands out there that sound okay. Nobody in the band looks the part, acts the part. Or these bands that sort of look like, dress like bands, but they suck. I said, if we do it, we're going all the way. We're giving the full pack. And the example I gave him was the only tribute band that I really knew of, like that I was familiar with out there, was Led Zeppelin again.
Okay.
Fantastic band. Fantastic band. Swan, the singers, I'm pretty sure that Swan actually sang with two of the guys from Led Zeppelin. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
He's that guy, that talented. And I thought, that name's genius. Led Zeppelin, Led Zepp again.
Yeah.
You can't miss.
Yeah.
So that was my only point of reference in the world because I wasn't a part of the tribute scene really or whatever.
Right.
But he looked at me and goes, let's do it. I went, really? He goes, yeah. He goes, I can provide the guitars. He goes, I'm Neil from Neil's Music. He goes, I own all those guitars. I own the Red BC Rich Bitch Mockingbird. I've got the Dan Armstrong, the clear play. He goes, I've got it all. We just need to find the guys. The gear isn't an issue. And we set out to do that, and we did. And that band just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And we started playing less shows for more money. That became a thing. We're trying to, establish ourselves as a high value brand.
Yeah.
And, the band was called Pump when I first joined it.
Yep.
I said, it's not going to fly. And that's, again, my reference was Led Zeppelin again. And I'm sure if Swan ever hears this, he's going to be like, wow. He'll get a kick out of that because Led Zeppelin was the template for Aerosmith, right? It's the same. It's in there. It's all in there.
Yeah.
And we started playing internationally. Band got bigger and bigger. Then I moved to Vegas because I was in Orange County at the time. I moved to Vegas and I was on my way to Vegas. I was driving, doing the move, right? We're moving. Here we come, Las Vegas, woohoo. And I see a billboard for Legends in Concert. And we were talking, my wife and I were talking about what are we going to do? And I go, maybe I'll do that. And I pointed at the billboard and it was all these tribute. I had never heard of it before. And it never came up again for another year. But in Vegas, I was doing these weird, I was getting these gigs, these one-offs, like meet and greet people as Steven Tyler, like for big events or whatever. And I happened to be at one of them, and I met this guy, really cool dude named Damian Brantley. And he goes, just give me a minute, I gotta get ready. I'm almost on. So the dude disappears, he goes in the bathroom. 20 minutes later, Michael Jackson walks out of the bathroom. And I mean, it was Michael Jackson. Like the nose, I was like, you're Batman. I'm like, what happened? And he lost his shit. He's like, oh, he. And like, this dude was more Michael Jackson than Michael Jackson. And he was like, you know, tattooed, like, good looking mulatto guy, right? And after he finished performing, it was my turn out, and I came back and he goes, oh man, he goes, dude, you got to get a hold of Legends in Concert. You'll never stop working. He goes, that's what I do. I go, what's that? He goes, are you kidding? You don't know what? I said, I just moved here. He goes, brother, he goes, you'll never stop working. Just look it up. Trust me. So I was like, I remembered the billboard from the drive-in, and I went, huh. So I got a hold of this cat named Steve Byer that I met that was getting me these little tiny gigs. And he was mostly like, he's a manager guy that handled like dueling piano artists and stuff all over Vegas.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, I know some people at Legends. He goes, I'll get you a meeting. I said, thank you. So he set up a meeting with this person that was like an ad executive, nothing to do with booking talent or whatever, but okay. So I found out who I needed to talk to, and I thought, I'm going to put a show together called Legends of Rock because they had no rock artists, man. It was like, well, I'm not saying Elvis isn't a rock artist, but whatever, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
Elvis, Madonna, stuff like that. I'm like, there's no Robert Plant, there's no Steven Tyler, there's no Mick Jagger. They're missing a whole market.
Yeah.
So I put a whole pitch together. I found a couple of guys. I found a really, really good Kid Rock. This is current. It's different genres of music. It'll translate well. I had a Lenny Kravitz guy. I called a meeting. I got it. I brought my people in, and they all performed. I was recovering from a voice injury, like literally recovering, and I was told, you can't sing. But after my people went that I brought in, this old guy comes walking in, kind of like the crypt keeper. He's got a camcorder, and he's like, I want to hear you sing. They got like somebody playing piano, right? That's how they're doing these auditions. And I said, I can't. I'm not. He goes, just this much. So of course, I'm an idiot. So I did it. And he's like, okay. All right, well, thank you. And he's following me out, and he's filming me with this 400-pound camcorder. And I'm like, something's up. I'm like, that's the money guy. That's got to be the money guy. The next day, I got a phone call. They're like, we have a contract offer for you. We're not interested in the show right now,
Right.
but we do want you. So they offered me my first contract. And from that point forward, I never stopped working unless I wanted to stop working. And the contracts run from 4 weeks to 6 months. I lived in Hawaii on Oahu, Waikiki for a year, performing 6 nights a week. I was doing like 11 shows a week for
Jesus.
years, all over. Because I didn't know at the time, but Legends in Concert wasn't just Vegas. That's their flagship location.
Right.
First, they were when I joined up, we were at Harrah's, and then we went to the Flamingo. So I was performing there with Donnie and Marie and Olivia Newton-John alternating nights, every night, like 6 nights a week, 11 shows a week or whatever for years. But they're like, they're like Japan, Australia, Hawaii, Myrtle Beach, Atlantic City. I didn't know that. They're like, you want to go to Myrtle Beach for a month? You want to go on a cruise ship for 6? So that's how the Legends in Concert gig came about.
Would your wife just come with you, or?
If she felt like it.
Oh, okay.
We had dogs
Okay.
and cats. But so, she had a career of her own. She was an amazing nail tech. Like when I say amazing, like she would do from time to time, like she would do Olivia Newton-John, And I was obviously responsible for that because, that was the connection there, whatever. But Jennifer Lopez, Mariah Carey, she
Jeez.
was like the person that gets the phone call to go to the house to lay under the table while they're playing with their kids or they're hanging out from the swimming. It's like that kind of vibe. But
Right.
she was very, very good at what she did, and that's kind of what led to the company that we
Right.
co-founded now. But yeah, she would like.
Okay.
I was on a cruise ship literally at one point for 7 months performing Norwegian Epic. It was like a traveling city. Don't get me wrong. There were
Yeah.
23 restaurants or something just on the ship.
Right.
But she would come out and she'd hang out for a month. And then she'd go back home for a month. And then she'd be back out for 3 weeks. And then it's pretty cool.
Did
When I was,
did
yeah,
you enjoy that?
I loved it.
Okay. Okay.
I loved it. Look, I'm a rock singer.
Yep.
I was getting to perform some of the greatest music ever written, performing as one of the greatest frontmen ever to exist. And I was making people happy.
Yeah.
I'm not the tax man. I'm the guy who you go to see to forget your troubles,
Right.
right? And I never forget that. And I never take it for granted. I'm there for them.
Right.
It's not really the other way around in my mind. It's like, and I'm grateful to be there. And it was fantastic. And the people that you meet in a situation like that, like I'm talking about like long-term performers and entertainers. The ship that I was on, we had Howl at the Moon, Blue Man Group, Cirque du Soleil, like, I mean, incredible performers were on that ship. And we all became this really tight community. And these people were from all walks of life, all corners of the planet, and then you get your people that you meet. Like, it was a little weird for me because the first half of a cruise, I was hiding because Steven Tyler's on the ship. And then I do my first show because it was 3 nights a week I was performing.
Yeah.
And then it was, oh, the guy that performs Steven Tyler's on the ship, right? So I would be sitting down to eat, and people would just come in across and sit down and just start taking pictures, which spaghetti's halfway to your mouth. They're like, you know, and you have to be able to tolerate that kind of stuff and you have to be good to everybody. So I hit a lot,
Right.
but it was great.
Did that ever wear on you like shit? Everybody,
Oh,
the
sure.
Steven Tyler guy. You're Steven Tyler.
Yeah, sure. To this day, though, but I might as well be getting paid for it.
True.
I mean, and I don't mean to sound like an idiot, but like the reality of it is, if I'm in the grocery store right now with my wife, people will come up to her, even though I'm standing 2 feet from them, and go to her and get in her ear and goes, "Is that Steven Tyler?" And she's like, "He can hear you. He's standing right there.
Right.
You can ask him." You know what I mean? It's that kind of thing. Or the worst is, "Do you know who you look like?" No.
Right.
But that's just, they don't know they don't know what to say. They'll come up to me and they'll be like, "I could stay awake just to hear you breathe." I'm like, "Don't sing at me, say hello."
Right.
They don't know what to say or whatever. And on the ship, there are no rules, right?
Right.
Because people are out there to go wild. So I'd be standing there and all of a sudden I'd feel a hand reach up between my legs. And it'd be a dude.
Okay. At,
All that aside. Yeah.
at what point did you decide you'd had enough of doing Steven Tyler? Because Aerosmith, Legends in Concert, like how did that end up ending for you?
Well, so after so many years of doing it, and you got to imagine, right? Like, so I'm married. I've been married for 25 years in July
Yep.
to the same person.
Yeah.
Go figure.
Yeah.
I don't know if she knows it, but and I've got 3 German Shepherds. I think we were talking about this before we went live.
Yep.
And what hit me was I got home and my youngest was like 10. I'm like, how did you get to be 10? I missed your whole life. And I went, uh-uh. Okay, yeah, I need to start figuring out my priorities. We need to do something different. I need to start moving because I love to perform, but you got to move into a different direction at some point. And so we started talking about businesses and what we wanted to do. And at one point, we ended up moving back to Michigan, where I'm from. This actually has happened a couple times, but this was more to like be close to and take care of family members that we were concerned about. And Kelly had no clientele. That's my wife,
Yeah.
because we had just moved. And it's a different world, right? Michigan, living in Michigan versus living in the Las Vegas area. She's like, what am I going to do? She's going to try to build a clientele, but that's going to take forever and it's going to pay one third of what it did. And I said, we've talked long and hard many times about developing a product line that you think should exist based on your experience that doesn't. It's time to do that. We can't do that. I said, why not? She went, why not? And we started to do that. And that was 8 years and two warehouses ago. And now we're an internationally recognized brand that's exploded across the planet. We're very, very grateful, and no one's more surprised than we are. So that's kind of, and then it just started taking more time and more energy. And at some point, you have to make a decision. What are your priorities? Well, I was already moving in that direction with Angels in Vain. I mean, the reason we started to write that record, Taz and I, is I called him on the phone while I was doing Tyler, all of this stuff. 11 shows a week is a lot. It's exhausting. And I said, I don't know who I am anymore, man. I need you to help me remember we need to write a record. And I said, I don't care about selling it. I don't care if anybody likes it. I don't care about having a band. I just want to write original music that makes us happy,
Mhm.
and maybe somebody else will like it too.
Mhm.
And the next day he sent me 13 songs that he had in a drawer. Now, only a handful of those actually made the record. But the point is, that's the guy that he is, right? So we started collaborating. He was living in Texas at the time, and we started. So we wrote almost an entire record.
Yeah.
And how Angels in Vain came to be is I got a phone call from Stacy Blades.
Yeah.
He said, this is right after David Bowie passed away. And he goes, look, we're putting together a tribute show. I want you to sing for part of it. And we've been talking about doing something for years, but I was always busy. I couldn't. I couldn't go see anybody's show in Las Vegas because I was always performing at the same time as they were. So it so happened I had downtime and I said, I'm in. And we were like, right on. Okay, he goes, well, I've got some other friends that are going to be doing this. One of them was Eric Stacy, former
Yeah.
bass player for Faster Pussycat.
Yep.
Right. So I go, very cool. Um, Long story short, I got a phone call. The venue fell through. It wasn't going to happen, blah, blah, blah. I go, that's all right, man. I'm working on, I got something else I've got to do anyway, this record thing or whatever. And he goes, huh? Record? What record? I was like, oh, it's nothing. It's just a passion project. Well, let me hear it. I'm like, nah. He's like, come on, man. Let me just let me. I really let me. I said, all right, I'll send you a couple songs. I said, but please keep them to yourself. I go, none of this stuff is like necessarily intended for really. I sent him 3 songs. 45 minutes later, I think I got a phone call from him. 45 minutes went by, I got a phone call from him. He goes, dude, I just got off the phone with Eric Stacy and we want to be your band. We want to make this we want this to let's do a band.
Yeah.
I go, what? Because that wasn't the intention, but it wasn't something I was necessarily against either. And Stacy's a great dude. I thought, huh. So I called up Taz and I go, Stacy, who I know pretty well, and he's a great dude, and Eric Stacy from Faster Pussycat, who I have no idea about. I've never met the guy, although I know Brent real well. I was like, what do you think? He goes, well, let's get together with him and see. And we did. And it was a great hang. And I went, all right, that works. Well, if it's going to be a band, we need to write together and stuff. So we started putting it together. Like I said, almost all the record was already written. Um, so I started working on promo materials and I put together the, one song pre-promo launch or whatever. And we let some stuff out. And all of a sudden, I'm looking at my Facebook and it's like 500,000 people talking about this. This must be a mistake. It wasn't a mistake. All of a sudden, everything's super group, super groups. I'm like, we're not a super group. None of us are super. But you know what I mean? People, they want a powerful tagline because they're looking for clicks or whatever. But it started to grow. It got scary, man. It grew legs, and I was like, this isn't ready for launch. But I'm not one that's not ready to take a challenge. I was like, all right, we're going into the studio. We're going to shoot videos. Blah, blah. We don't even have a drummer. Well, the guy that was supposed to be the drummer for this originally was Vicky Fox.
From Enough to Nuts.
So, yeah. Based on what Eric Stacy said.
Okay.
So Vic was thinking about it, I guess, and then something came up. I guess he's got a business. Him and his wife run a business. I talked to him a couple of times, I think. And he was like, I can't do this. He goes, I want to, but I can't. He goes, but here's my protege, Troy Patrick Farrell. He goes, this guy's perfect for you.
Yeah.
And that's how we got with Troy.
Yeah.
So, and that's how it became a physical band, but all the stuff you heard had already been written and recorded pre long time coming. And then all the stuff, and I'm sure you're probably aware, and I don't want to bring a lot of this up, but things got very dicey for a while, especially because the idea of this band started gaining a lot of traction and a lot of, and it's like, we need to get out and tour. I'm like, we don't even have the whole record done. Well, we can play LA Gun songs and we can play Faster Pussycat. I said, no.
Right.
I go, not out of the gate. I go, if we ever decided to do that down the road after we were an established band, I go, that would be fine. I said, but I don't want to do a cover band. This is everything I don't want to do. I just want to write a great record and if play with good dudes and stuff. But everybody wanted to take the ball and run with it. But that ball wasn't ready to be out because there was no court to play on yet. So all of a sudden it became an incredibly high pressure situation. Something that was just Taz and I writing a record for the love of music. And it got to the point where when stuff went down with Eric Stacy and he started going public about all this like weird ass, where's this coming from negativity stuff? I was like, that's it, I'm done. And that's why it took so long for there to be a record, because I had to wait for the bad taste to leave my mouth before I was willing to go back to it again. It was hard because, man, it ruined something that I really, really loved. And again, the only reason it existed is love. So it wasn't about money. It wasn't about, being famous or any of that shit. So, yeah.
I remember it. Was it 2016?
Yeah.
Or something? And like, I mean, I'm a lifer rocker. I mean, all my life is music. And everybody was talking about Angels in Vain. Like there was a ton of hype when
I know
this was coming out. So I appreciate you clear because I wasn't exactly sure what had happened that slowed everything down.
Yeah, I know. And I wish I felt more comfortable earlier on to be at liberty to discuss it. But the problem is, it doesn't matter whether you're telling the truth or not. It still comes down to perspective. And when I'm speaking, it's just mine.
Yep.
And people are going to choose to believe what they want to believe anyway at the end of the day. So I just prefer not to feed into all the negativity and the hype. I wish everybody the best. I want them to go on to their own better good. But look out there and you can see, and this is what I would say, base your judgments on who's doing what. Stacy's never stopped working. He's always out there doing great stuff.
Yep.
That guy's real. Troy Patrick Farrell needs a break because everybody wants to play with Troy, right? Gilby White Lion, all those cats.
Yep.
As Union Underground, Creed Fisher, he's recorded a lot of the better and bigger rock albums that have come out in recent years as an engineer because that's really his, he's a guitarist first, but like he's a sick, talented engineer guy and stuff. So me, now I write children's books.
Really?
That's a real thing. Oh yeah.
I didn't know about that. No shit.
I'm breaking that news on your show.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how did that come about?
That's the first book. It's about to launch.
Okay.
That's a real thing. Yeah. Joey Michigan wished he'd gone fishing.
Okay.
It has nothing to do with fishing. It's an extremely exciting space adventure. Buy it for your kid. They'll thank you. Plug.
Right.
Plug. It's backwards for you.
Oh, okay.
But anyway,
okay.
I'm going to do a limited edition personalized run. I'm going to do 100 personalized run. It's not going to cost any more than it actually does when you go to the bookstore or whatever. But when it launches officially, it will be available everywhere.
Okay.
iBooks, Amazon, Barnes and Noble. So,
Wow.
yeah, no, crazy, right?
Oh, when did you hey,
So,
I'm going to write a children's book.
well, I've always been an author, right? I mean, it's just lyrics.
Yeah.
So I've always had a passion for writing, and I've always had a passion for illustration. The problem is monetizing that stuff. How do you make a living? Look, I was stupid enough to think I could make a living as a rock and roll singer. How many dumb ideas can one guy have? But the reality is, the original story I wrote many, many years ago, and I always planned to illustrate it. I was like, someday I'm going to be the heavily pierced tattoo weirdo whose picture is on the back of a children's book because it doesn't matter what I look like. That's who I am inside, right? So
That's awesome.
I came across the manuscript, and why don't you call it a manuscript or whatever? I came across the story that I'd written, and I was like, this thing's 25 years old. Oh, it's going to be terrible. And I read it as if it was somebody else that had written it. And I was like, I love this. I was like, this is, so I set out to do the art. And I, 12 hours a day for 3 months. And I finally finished it and I submitted it around. And it's like, yep, it's coming out. It's a real book.
Wow.
And yeah. So I'm pretty excited about that. I haven't told anybody about that yet. So you're the first person to hear about this.
Breaking news. That's fantastic. So when do you think it will be available, or what's the?
I expect it to be available digitally on all formats end of next month.
Okay.
It will be. I would say I expect it to. Let's not do an angels in vain long time coming here. It's going to be available. It's already been it's already been uploaded. The digital version's already uploaded.
Okay.
It's just awaiting a confirmed release date. And that's kind of difficult because it should coincide with the hardback release,
Yep.
but they do a thing called author advances, right? They send out a certain number of books in advance to different people, companies, teachers, schools, that type of thing, right? So they can do reviews before they actually do the full launch. So they have those things for people to reference. So we're waiting for that stuff to come back and then they'll pull the trigger. So,
Sure.
but I will be launching this. It's not active yet, but the website is Joey Mishton, MISHDON.com. And advanced personalized copies will be available. 100 personalized advanced copies will be available on that website.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
End of this month.
Wow. Well, shit, I didn't know, and now I do, and everybody else knows too. That's I guess the next question would be to ask if you're going to write a children's book. I mean, you've had a wild career. Have you thought
Yeah.
about writing your own autobiography?
One of those excursions I told you about when I was performing for Legends while I was on the cruise ship, I was on there one time. I did it twice, once for 6 months, once for 7 months. I started writing my autobiography, and it is really close to completed. And I thought, because it's honest and there's a lot,
Yeah,
I thought, how many people is this going to hurt if I release it?
right.
I have no doubt it would sell. I don't. It doesn't matter. I mean, not the stories about me that are going to be selling it like that, but I know so many things about so many different people. And the reason probably I do is because I'm not the guy that's running around sharing that with anybody else. And to capitalize on it, it's like, it's a delicate line, right? You want to write your story, but those people are part of it. And how do you do that honestly and not name names?
Right.
So, I mean, when we were touring back in the early days, all the bands I was with, there were no camcorders. There were no, I mean, maybe camcorders, but there were no cell phones. There was no, you know what I mean? On the road was a different thing.
Right.
So I go, maybe when I'm dead,
Right. Right.
or maybe when they are.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, man, I don't want to hurt anybody.
I I hear that. I was going to ask, so we mentioned the long time album from the long time coming album from Angels in Vain did come out in
Yeah,
2023. What led to okay, that being the right time for the album to finally come out?
we finished it. Well, right. So, okay, let's rewind. So, 16, Taz and I had most of a record ready.
Hmm?
And everything started to explode, and we fast forwarded, we fast tracked it, trying to actually do a band.
Yep.
And it turned out that wasn't the band.
Right.
And we didn't want to disappoint anybody, so we're like, well, who else can we put in here? But the reality is those songs were written. Most of the things that you heard recorded were Taz and I. I mean, instrumentation. In the beginning. Then we're like, all right, so we have to re-record this stuff. If Troy's part of this, Troy needs to play the drums.
Yeah.
Adam needs to play the bass. If it's going to be a band, at least on that level, it's got to be honest. So now we got to book studio time. So, oh, Troy's out with Gilby. Oh, Taz is on the road with Union, or he's recording this record. Oh, I'm performing 11 shows a week. Oh, and by the way, I'm in Hawaii doing it. Everybody's doing their own thing, right? Because it was never actually an entire band to begin with.
Right.
So you're borrowing moments here, you're stealing moments there. So to get things done when you've got four different people moving in four completely different directions, and they're all scrambling because everyone's trying to make a living, taking care of their own, it took time.
Right.
And also for me, on a more personal note, that shit went down. It left a really bad taste in my mouth. And I didn't want to go back to work on this until I was able to do it and feel good about it, because I don't think I would have been giving people an honest product. So that's why it took so long.
Okay.
You know, it was never not going to get done,
Right.
but it was never Chinese democracy or whatever.
Right.
It stayed pretty true to what it was. It's not like we changed direction and rewrote the album 15 times. That never happened.
And it rocks. I mean, go check it out. You can find it online. I know the CD and I listen to it online. I'm going to order the CD. It's in my cart on Amazon right now. But I've listened to it over the years. Anyway, go check out the Angels in Vain album.
Thank you.
What are you like? Are you still thinking about doing stuff musically? I know you have your business with your wife. What does the future hold for you?
Well, my partner's here now. Taz just moved from Texas. He's living here in Vegas. And in fact, he's the operations manager of my company.
Okay.
That's why he moved out here.
Really?
Yeah, man. Yeah. And he's still doing Union Underground. They've got festivals coming up next year, but we are still Angels in Vain.
Okay.
And he is just about done rebuilding his whole recording studio out here. So it wouldn't surprise me, as we do, that once that happens, we start naturally just doing what we do, man. We've been writing music together since we were 18 or 19 years old. That's a long time.
Well, yeah.
So yeah, I expect there will be a follow-up record. I just won't promise anybody when,
Sure.
but but it'll be done before I tell you.
Okay. Is it is there anything I'm and I know there were other, but is there anything that I missed that you're like, hey, before we go, I want to let people know about this, or
Did I tell you I wrote a children's book?
you did, and I'm pumped about it. That's amazing.
Hey, hold on. Let's see. Uncle Chris is going to read you a story. You know what? I'm going to show you.
Yes, please do.
I'm gonna just so you can get an idea.
Yeah.
So there you go. There's your
Amazing.
dog Charlie right there asking to go out. And that's Green Sam. That's Green Sam the Pickle Man. Make of that what you will.
Right?
All right.
That,
Now, I mean, I'm excited about that. Anything else, like for real? Um, Man, just thank you for being interested and wanting to talk to me to begin with, and for anybody at all over the years that supported anything, that we've done in the different bands or iterations that I've been with. I'm very grateful for you,
ab-
and
absolutely. Does your business with your wife? Do you guys have a website, or where do
oh
people
yeah,
like? Okay.
yes, it's professionals only. But people are welcome to go to the
Yeah.
website. I know it probably doesn't stop people from purchasing. We can't police that, but
Sure.
just for the record,
Okay.
it's luminary nail systems.com.
Okay. Okay.
And if any of your listeners have anything to do with the beauty industry, chances are they're probably already familiar with the brand. They're just very surprised right now to think that the Steven Tyler looking motherfucker runs it.
Um, where are the best? Like, I know you have a Facebook, but is there a place where you would want people to follow you on social media to keep up with all things Chris VanDahl?
Yeah, my Facebook page, of course. Um, I'm not Stephen T on Instagram. You can find me there too. All the doings.
That sounds like a
Yeah.
good title for a book, man. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Face the music. Yeah, Steve and I actually talked about that.
Wait,
And he
yeah.
left because his handle is I'm Stephen T. Mine's I'm not Stephen T. He roared. That was funny.
When did you meet him?
Well, to be honest, more than once. Back in the earlier 2000s, I met him. I was on the red carpet at a Music Cares event at the Music Box Theater in LA,
Huh?
and it was a sobriety event. They were honoring Slash and Alice Cooper for the sobriety. And Steven checked himself into rehab the day after that event
Wow.
because he was high as a kite walking the carpet. He told me this.
Yeah.
That's the first time we met, and he didn't remember
Okay.
because the second time we met was 2011 going into 12 because it was just before New Year's. I remember that at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. During the day, I was at the MGM, and he spotted me, and he sent his PA to come get me. So she brought me backstage and to his dressing room, and he invited me in, and it was a very surreal experience for both of us. He's like, "Man, we look good." He goes, he grabbed my face. He's like, "But our eyes are too close." He's like, "I've never met anybody that would know what it feels like to be me before now." only in Las Vegas. This is really, really crazy. Yeah, but anyway, we ended up spending that whole evening together, and then he wanted to meet my wife, so he set up passes and side stage stuff and got her down there. And then after the show was over and everybody was gone, he came out, and the three of us just hung out for a long period of time. We harmonized Seasons of Wither a cappella together,
Wow.
which was recorded, but she didn't hit the record button. If she sees this video, that'll make her cry every time I bring it up. Not my wife. This is somebody
Right.
else. This is somebody else. But yeah. And that night he invited me to Maui for New Year's Eve. Every year they do a party at a special place with Alice Cooper and a bunch of other people, like crazy, like um, Michael McDonald, Weird-Al Yankovic, like all kinds of people show up. It's pretty wild.
Right.
And I was performing in Waikiki at the time of that, so I jumped on a plane and flew over to Maui, and then we did New Year's Eve together over there.
Wow.
Uh, yeah, yeah, it's pretty. And then he sent Raymond Tabano. I don't know if you know who Raymond Tabano is, but Raymond was that's Steven's oldest friend
Okay.
and the original lead guitar player in Aerosmith.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
It's been a long time since I
Raymond.
read the Aerosmith book, but I have.
Yeah, yeah. Raymond was replaced because he didn't take his craft seriously enough. Although he was the only guy that had a car or any money. So hear him tell it. But he sent Ray to see me in Vegas
Right.
when he heard about me. And then Ray went back to report to him, and that's how come he knew who I was.
Okay. Okay. Well,
So yeah, that's another like little Aerosmith sort of inside thing.
man, you've been so gracious with your time, Chris. You've had just an amazing career. I'm so glad to hear that things are going good now for you. Good luck
Thank
with
you,
your
man.
book. You're always welcome back on if anything comes up with Angels in Vain. But man, Chris VanDahl, thank you so much for your time.
It is my pleasure, man. I've had a great time talking to you. And if you ever want to get together, if you're ever in Vegas, let me know.
I absolutely will. I absolutely will. Hey, thanks again, man. I will keep in touch and I'll let you know when this is going to come out. But man, I really enjoyed it.
Me too. Me too. Bye, Charlie.
Charlie's over there. She says bye. All right.
Bye, Charlie.
Take care, man.
All right, brother. Have a good night.
All right, you too.
Bye.